Players, that is what we are here for. We don't have this competition without them, so y'all definitely feel free to lose it when you guys see them come out on the stage. My gosh, that is just the qualifiers from major number 1. There's so many big names. Thomas HD though, Malibuka. That's we have eyes on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I heard a massive cheer. Yeah, and we're hearing it right now.
I wonder why.
I wonder who they're cheering for. Is it Thomas HD?
Yeah, I think
it might well be because he is the Danish man himself. What a perfect.
あ、ジェルさんどうもです。
all of his attributes, so smart. His aim is next.
おつです。
And of course, pair that with Malibuka. This is a dangerous
あれ、読み上げくん動いてない。 あ、今日ネットの調子悪いんだよな。
So much skill in this duo that they should be able to overcome the problem.
今日はちょっと飽きるまで世界大会のミラー配信でもしてようかなって。ってな感じです。ワニヤ君出してもいいかな。
So crazy, right? No FNCS title, but a global championship title. That would be next level. We talked about EU. How about we gone over to NA, Acorn, and Old. I feel like so many players and fans alike talk about
飽きたら途中でゲームやるかも。
saying this is probably one of the
あれ、
best
読
duels
み
in
上げ
NA
くんが2回
period.
読むようになっ
Yeah,
た
there
よ。
was a lot of hype around this duo when they performed in Major Number 1, of course, coming out with a great
飽きない。
performance. I like this duo. You sort of combine a really, really big brain IGL in cold. This kid is crazy, and I'm expecting to bring that dynamic. You can see them on the screen right now. They're looking happy, they're looking excited, and they should be because they're a top team.
And we saw what Cold can do on a land setting at the Invitational, getting a 3rd place finish with his recent or his old duo mate Scented. And I mean, their placements outside of Major 1.
俺も英語わかんないから大丈夫。
Major 2 and Major 3. So even when
大丈夫大丈夫。俺も英語わかんないから任せて。
vastly better.
試合が始まるまでは暇だなと思って俺眺めてる
Now,
から。
of course, that was a look at just the qualified players from Major Number 1. We have 2 more to go. So please give a warm welcome for your qualified players from Major Number 2. The kinetic blade was the season. It was also the problem that they had to learn how to overcome, learn how to make theirs.
あれやっぱ読み上げ動かないな。なんでだろう。
My oh my, what a destructive time it was.
They really had to slice their way through the competition to qualify for globals.
もうだ出場選手もねほぼわかんないからね。みんな顔見ないやん。
This particular group of contenders carries with them. Considering 18 out of 24 of them have played on a land
あ、
stage
2回喋っちゃうの。
Can you imagine having that experience, bundling it all up and then putting it out right here in front of you, where there is your chance to make the bulk of
音でかい？
$4 million. We know who you're looking at. I know who I'm looking at. But most importantly, can they step up? Can they perform here now? As the times and options are limited. There's only 5 games.
よーし。さ
I mean,
て
if。that was it, right? If that was
あ、セイさんどうもです。
let's go. Everyone's here. Let's hit play. I believe that's
ちょ
a
っと
grand
昨
finals lobby.
日
There's still
大群ラッシュやりたいなんて言ってたんですけど、今日からフォトナの世界大会やるんですよ。 ちょっとそっち見たくて今ミラー配信やってます。
Went crazy when they walked by that trophy. Some would say these are the villains of this art.
ちょっと飽きたら試合数が多分結構あると思うんですよ。何試合やるんだっけな。何試合やるかわかんないけど。ちょっとよかったら一緒にフォートナイトの世界大会見ながら。なんかよくわかんないけど日本人選手応援しましょう。決勝が日曜の夜なんで、今日 Day1 で、明日が Day2 で、明後日 Day3 なんですけど、まあ1、2、3、3日目。で、一番最後が決勝なんですけど、今日の確か50組いて、まあ、デュオで50組いて、1位から25位と26位から100位かなで、あ、100位じゃないや。あれ違ったっけちょっと俺、わかんなかった。なんだっけ、出場チームの前半半分が優勝今日決定して、優勝じゃないや、決勝進出決定して、 で残った、もう半分、後半の半分が、Day2 でもう一回戦って、そこから残った人間が確か決勝出るっていう話なんですけど、忘れちゃった。さっき俺一回調べたのにな。参加人数が150名75ディオ最大で。で、1組確か今日出場する、チームがなんか、出場禁止になっちゃったから 1組なくなっちゃったのかな。で1位から25位までのディオが、今日の1位から25位までのディオが3日目の決勝に出場して、で、残りの26位から50位までのディオが、明日の、Day2 に出場して、あ、これわかんない。1日目から来た25ディオと、ローワーブラケットの25ディオで戦うっつってるけど、ローワーブラケットは多分26位から50位までの人たちだよね。違うな。ローワーブラケットってなんだろう。2日目のルールがいまいちわかんないや。誰か知ってる？ちょっと俺に説明して。もうさ、フォートナイトなんでみんな顔見ないからさ、ぶっちゃけ日本人選手ちょっとわかるかなぐらいなんだよな。ザゴさんぐらいじゃないかな、わかんの。なんかたまに配信つながりで絡ましてもらってるネイチャーの選手も一人いるらしい。顔見てもわかんないよね。金髪の日本人がいたらそれはザゴーさんです。でもぶっちゃけこの辺全くわかんない。どうみんな知ってる？ローワーブラケットってなんだろう。Day1 はアッパーブラケットの50ディオで、合計5試合行われるらしいですよ。アッパーブラケットの50ディオ。
サイズスシープさん、みんな会場の機材でプレイなんですかね。
あ、そうですね。会場の機材です。多分マウスとかキーボードだけ自分の普段使ってるやつ持ってってると思いますね。もしくはコントローラーで、アカウントは自分のアカウント入れて、設定は変わらず、多分提供されてると思うんですけど、パソコンをなんか一流のパソコンを使ってで必要な機材だけ、そのマウスとかキーボードだけ、もしくはパッドだけ自分で使うんじゃないかな。あ、ちゃんと名前書いてある。で、選手たちは後ろのこの観客の向こう側の机のとこでいて、大型ビジョンがあるこの観客との間のとこにいて、で、観客は大型ビジョン見ながら中継見て、で、一番後ろのところの邪魔にならないところでこの司会の人たちが今説明してる。だからフォートナイトの競技シーン好きな人たちだったら海外の選手たちも分かると思うんですけど、俺なんていうんですか、こういうのこういうのあんまよく分かんないけど好きな人なんで海外の選手までは俺ねあんまウォッチしないんですよね。カジュアルめな人間だから。日本人選手はある程度名前聞きゃ分かるなとか、海外のストリーマーとかの名前聞いたらちょっと分かるなぐらいですね。まあ基本的に英語が分かんないから何とも言えないですけど、 フォートナイトのコラボスキンにもなってるサイファー PK っていうのが配信者さんかな。どれわかんない。ちょっと今別のことしてた。試合始まってないから別のこと調べてた今。配信のねサイファー PK を見に来てるよとかって言ってるけど。で、日本の配信者で有名な多分リアンさんとかキメコさんとか、あとなんだっけ、キャプテンショートさんとかは多分どっかに移ってくると思う。おがお座り。はい。おつまみ持ってくればよかったな。手震えてる、めっちゃ手震えてる。緊張するよね、こんな状況ね。あ、わかんないかも。顔見てない。いや、俺さっきのローアーブラケットの25デュオが何なのかがわかんなくて調べてた今。Day1、なんか補欠みたいな感じで Day2 しか出れない補欠みたいのがローアーブラケットか。今日いるのが負けても2日目がありますようで、2日目の方は今日負けた人たちのそうなんだ。前の大会見てないかも。なんかさ、世界大会久しぶりじゃん。前回の大会が久しぶりじゃん、そもそもが。前の大会っつったらあれかな、名前合ってるかな、ブーガとかかな。好きになった人前回違うもんね。
Yeah, I think when I think about more of these duos that we're going to see, right? Tayson and Mustache, another duo that kind of just jumps to the front of my mind. Tayson, I mean, if you ask any player, you just said the name Tayson.
日本語字幕とかない？
I'm good, leave me alone. But also now paired up with Mustache.
日本語字幕ないです。英語わかんないです。あ、そうなんだ。今日のアイテムショップ見て、さっき見たけど何あったか覚えてないや。すごいよね。もうなんかさ、オフラインイベントってさ難しいんよ。この間小籔ソニックで芸人の小籔さん、フォートナイト下手くそおじさんが自分の音楽フェスの一部のコーナーでフォートナイトの大会じゃないや、イベントをやったんですけど、結構ねオフラインイベントってむずいよね。商用利用しちゃいけないから無料で入ってもらわなきゃいけないとか、結構ねルールが厳しくて、なかなかねこういうの多分実際にはできないんだろうけど、なんかわかんないけどこういうイベント開いてみたいよね。カスタムマッチで100人もてか10人も揃わない人間何言ってんだって話だけどね。はいはい、おつおつ楽しみ。いやーでもなんか大変だろうな。こんな観客の中でフォートナイトやんだぜ。そりゃさっきみたいに手震えるよね。あとこれ1位になったらさ、いくらっつったっけ。1位になったら日本円で1億1.5 億だよ。1億5000万円もらえるんですよ。やばいよね。総額で6億使ってんのもう。やばー。日本の法律だとどうなんかね。なんか昔は日本の法律でこれ座高じゃない？違う？隣の画面見ちゃってたわ。なんかさ、日本の法律だとギャンブルになっちゃうから いくらまでしかもらえないとかっていう法律があるとかって昔聞いたことあって、だから日本だと e スポーツが発展しないっていう風にしたんだけど、あえてチームに入ってることによってこの賞金っていうのがギャンブル的な扱いから会社の収入みたいになるのかな。で会社から給料として支払われれば、チームから給料として支払われれば、そこの 法律を抜けられるみたいな、あんのかな、違うかな。ちょっとうち今日ネットの回線がすごい貧弱で、さっきずっとなんかちまちま止まってたんで、もしかしたら途中で切れちゃうかも。始まる？多分ね、見ててもね、高度すぎて俺わかんないと思うけど、ちょっとね、見たい。どうしても見たい。そしてもう誰かわかんない人たちばっかりいる。
A very contentious drop map. I know we focused in on a couple of those, head-to-head face-offs, but there are so many more battles happening today.
I think one perfect example we were just discussing was the whole
いいな、そのフォートナイトの T シャツ欲しい。
because the battle bus has gone off and we're ready
始まんじゃない？いやー、かっこいいね。やば。現地行ってみたいわ。コペンハーゲン行きたいわ。
ジャイロ最弱さんで龍河さん、
やばー。いいよね。フォートナイトさ、エイペックスみたいにさ、紙視点使えないからさ、こういう画面やりたいよ。
And keep in mind, we heard a little bit in the pre-game interviews. King, Calgamer, neither side particularly scared of the other.
いやー、日本解説やってほしいなー。
It's Kanata though, who's going to find the first down.
But it's a trade. It's a trade on both sides. Aegis is down as well. Kanata will have to do
チャンピオンアクス持ってんね。
or go head to head, toe to toe with Malabuka. Malabuka just has a singular ability.
いや、もう速攻始まるんだ。
And now Kanata's going for the push.
初動かぶるのはしょうがないよね。うわー、きっつ。初動かぶせたくないよね。あー、きつい。恥ずかしい。悲しい。
Pressure stop just yet. He's taking a moment here, and that is massive. The reboot ban
もう
provided
さ、
just
プロ
enough
同士もうさ、
coverage.
各国のプロがさ、初動でさ、バトルしたらもうさ、拾った武器次第にもなってくるじゃん。でみんな強い人たちじゃん。でもなんか最初だからさ、
最弱さんで龍河さん、チャンピオンアックス使ったことあるけど意外と音良いんだよな。
なんか今あるよね、クリエイティブで。初動でさ、一番最初1戦目のこれでさ、精神持ってかれるぜ。みんなからもさ、映像で見られてるわけだから。最初に落ちんの嫌だよな。最初に落ちた男みたいに言われたらもう俺心折れちゃうよ。あー、はずってなっちゃうよね。あ、ちゃんと武器構成見れるか。そこそこ。初動はね、極力強い武器欲しいよね。
And Infiltrator Pump might be able to buy him a little bit of time as well, but seems as though Bugha is investing fully into weaponry here, understanding he can't take that extra second to reload. He doesn't have a teammate to fall back on just in case.
いやー、
And as for Nutty and Abzer, they seem to
ア
be
ポロチョコの頭いいね。
taking their time,
懐かしい。
actually prioritizing
チ
some
ャ
of
プ
the
ター
inside
2の
of
シ
the
ーズン7付近じゃなかったっけ？宇宙の時のやつだよね。UFO 出てきた。初動は資材集めながら、やっぱある程度離れてんだね。ああ、もう初動やられてるか。違う、休憩してる？
ways outside of the map.
ソロ？
And
今。
the real curious
もう
question
ない
to
か。
ask here is how well exactly they're going to be able to manage some of that early surge, because being this far south, they
選手の顔映んないから俺いなくする？
in terms of elevation, having to deal with some of those other teams surrounding you.
こんにゃくいらないか。
Queasy might look to wait for Venom to continue
こ
scouting
ん
with
にゃ
it
くどれだっけ？
further in, maybe towards the bridge. We might see them looking to
休
implement
憩
a
時
little
間になった。あきれ。
surge
危
strategy.
ない危ない危ない。
Sloppy Shores, Tayson, he's having to eat some damage as is, but has
やっぱヒー
plenty
ロー
of
スキン使う
shield
ね。
to work back with.
Oh yeah, we all know that this here is definitely a
モナ
very
コ
popular
マスター。
exchange.
わ
Teams
かん
will
ない。
often fight it out as Slappy Shore is one of the major POIs that will just yield so much additional heals, of course, that you can continue to play off of
Ah,
and
reboot
bounce
してる。
back from. Meanwhile, Mustache down low. continuing to get his
いや、枝豆持ってくれよかった
material
な。
together. We're going to jump on over to Datus and Stain here. Looking pretty solid over at the Frenzy Fields. Just north of this, we also know that Acorn and Cold were equally contested.
多分
their drop. And look,
なんだっけ、大会の配信だから映像的にグラフィック綺麗になってますけど、実際にはプレイヤー自体はなんだっけ、何モードだっけ、一番グラフィック荒いやつやってると思う。てか普段の設定でやってるだろうね。影とか普通は映んないんだけど。はい、おやすみ。あつあつ。あつあつ、また来てね。今度一緒にフォートナイトやろうぜ。ちょっとみんなでさ、今度やろうぜ。今日、明日、明後日は多分大会見ちゃうと思う。
The drop map standing true exactly as we expected. Teams that were aware of teams that were going to land on them are definitely fighting for it.
日本の選手何着てんだっけ？Day1の日本人選手って何？選手知らない人多いんだよな。
Towards some of those rotations can make a big difference in positioning later on.
We'll talk about Acorn and Cold. Take a look here as they're moving out. They picked up their elimination. They're trying to see if they can single out the solo remaining, but nothing just yet. So not really getting greedy with the opportunity put in front of them, but instead banking that elimination. Remember, this is just 5 games, right? Only 5 games. You pop off in game number 1, and all of a sudden you're really set up for a potential
2023
just seal top 25 for today, right? The goal is get to grand finals.
I mean, just think about the amount of sheer splashes that Acorn just had available for himself. 12 splashes to work with is a huge amount. They can definitely take their time.
意外とまとめてるとこないな。
Those ideal movements in case they need a little bit of that slap effect to work with. Thoric, meanwhile, continuing to seek out a chest that might be left over sitting there with bolts. Seems to have an idea.
まあでもペポとザゴーぐらいかな、俺わかんの。
Maybe also keeping an eye out for that reboot van in the distance as well.
多分アンリさんとこのチームの人がムキムキパパっていう人だったと思うけど、あ、アンリさんとこの選手いるんだ今日。
They have danger nearby. They've already exchanged between the two. You can see the passive standoff here. But these are fights that are so important. These are fights that you need to, at the very least, entertain for now.
いやー、日本人で解説見たいな。ここで日本人選手が活躍して、それこそ優勝なんか取ったら、多分日本のそのフォートナイト公式の日本のチャンネルで日本語でなんかやってそうな気もするけどね、次回から。
To activate some surge strategies early on, but
いやみんなキーマウだよね。
sitting on some of the augments that he's going to choose to actually prioritize.
Rolled up. Looks like we had a little bit of a standoff here on the rotation on in here.
いやー、打たれるね。
Triple FHD. Pretty tough situation to be in.
手持ちがメイバンなのかちょっとしんどいな。
Save for a second here. It's Ritual and Reet who have a bit of a high ground position here, looking down. Very nice spot to be in. Meanwhile, here is the pressure of the lobby here. Ritual and Reet can determine any team that they want to put the pressure on, and others are going to look inwards to see if they can jump in on it.
Barely hanging on right now, just inside the edge.
武器構成はどうなんだろう。ワーとこれにしてんのかな。
Breaking out for them just does not seem to be all that
そ
favorable.
んな取れないから。
Just like for Snazy and Podesai under quite a bit of pressure here. Snazy's gonna have to take some time now to actually try regen some of that white HP, some of that shield as well. Not sure if he even has it in this to work with, but Podesai
完成がすごい。
scout in the area, making sure that they're both still aware of what exactly exactly is surrounding them just outside of Rumble
これ
Road.
歓声聞こえる？後ろの。
They're working here. The community rallying for POTUS
あんま俺サッカーとか野球とかその普通の競技を知らないからあれだけど、なんかサッカー場とかいる感じだよね。
And another team is looking to
応援
influence
して
them
る
a
声。
little bit more as they were trying to get to the new safety. This next zone here, just a minute left before it starts to move again. They're in a pretty difficult spot
ああ、
here.
ムキ
They
ムキパパ。
get into the trenches right now.
アンリさんとこの
Okay,
選手。
Papa is holding it down here.
But again,
ム
this
キ
is
ム
the
キパパ
fight
っていう
that
ぐらいだから
you're
結構大人の人なのかな。
expending time, you're expending some resources and build outside of the zone for both of these players.
ネイチャーの選手だよ。ネイチャーの選手。
Papa left as a solo defend for himself.
この人。
Trapped at brutal fashion essentially.
顔映しくないんだ。
As though Pars and Baka want to let MK Papa go anytime soon. MK Papa already
おーし、ナイスナイスナイス。
to deal with.
ナイスじゃなかったわ。
Just a
ナイスじゃなかった今。
out.
見間違えてるわ俺。やられてたから今。
They're all the way at brutal. They still have to rotate into zone.
I just want to say, Pars was
画面変わんないね。
They're talking, hey man, you know, not too sure about the time zones. He's acting like he wasn't quite sharp and aware, but no, they are leading in eliminations right now.
もうお酒いい感じに入ってきてるわ。
Freaking out the competitors here
いや、チャンピオンアックス使うねみんな。やっぱ使うね。
TWIS
俺だったら絶対に
Rapids
自分のやつ使う
already
け
on the
ど。
move here, trying to get situated. Queasy and Vino.
ゴロニャアックス使う。でもゴロニャアックス使ったら逆にバレるか。
Vino really set themselves up for success. So Surge looking well, but not good enough to really conclude the battle. So they're just going to move on over. But for Queasy and Vino, I mean, they'd be surely excited to see Cammy and Seti not moving.
I mean, they
ああ、
have
でもやっ
to
ぱ
be at this point,
使って
given
ない
that
人もい
they're
るか。
still in. They're still able to continue trying to accrue some points on the leaderboards. I know, taking his time right now with that suppressed sniper, seeing if he has an opportunity here, but instead, no, it's going to be off in the distance. Trulix and Chicha have caught wind
いや
of Queasy and Venom on top of this hill, and that's
画
not
質
the
荒くなっ
surprise
た？
party that
いや、
Venom was
HG の
hoping
ままだ
for.
Yeah, let's not forget, Chicho and Trulex were definitely under some pressure here. So they're not the
いいね、金型金
prettiest
本
when it comes down to overall
いい構
material,
成になって
but
る。
all in all, they do have the great positioning here on the top of this mountain. Yep, Queasy's gonna go and get on out of there, picking up augments now as well, really trying to
あれ、
round
世
out
界
his
大会
advantage
で
where
禁止
possible.
武器ってなんだっけ？禁止武器っていうか
Rotate to greener
使えなくなってるのなんだっけ？
Giving Queasy
角
no
ゾ
doubt
ーンのあれはあんの？
ともかく
あ、サーシャさんどうもす。
こんばんは。アスタリスクの
bonus damage always a plus on that first shot. And the same thing as well for the first shotgun augment that he had.
今世界大会見てます。
Shark dude, so you can definitely expect him, or expect that there's a reason why Ninveno are looking to try and find those bamboozle opportunities. Not too surprising though to see teams still trying to collect as much brick as possible here.
浮
Carmi
き差は
and Cognac
まあ
definitely wanting
あ、シールド回復ないんだ。
to acquire just
あー、まだ
a few
向こう側に
more
敵いる
builds,
から
but
回収できないのかな。
understanding the fact that some of these teams starting to trickle in as zone continues to pool just further towards that mega city area. They're gonna have to be careful of the teams rotating from
ザ
above.
ゴー映んないかな、
There
ザ
are a
ゴ
couple late stragglers looking to make their way to the new zone. Meanwhile, Sphinx and Boyo sitting right above Acorn and Cold here.
見てるね。透かして見
Like
てるね。
positioning so far,
あ、
no reason to do
大
anything
会
too
用のこの画面だと
hasty
透か
just
して
yet.
向こう側見てるの分かるんだ。
Hero's taking his own damage to himself.
俺なんだっけ、
Possibly being
カスタム
deep
大
in the
会
zone
とかやる
here
ときに、
on a late rotate.
観戦画面でやってると、今のところだと壁から向こう見えないんですよね
世。界大会スタートラック見るの初めてですグリーニングフェイス
そう、フォートナね、他のやつに比べて世界大会少ないんですよね。他のっつってもバロラントとかですけど、バロラントちょこちょこやってるんですよ、オフライン大会とか。フォートナイトはコロナの影響で全然やってなくて、前回やったの去年末だっけ？そん時ぐらいのが、あれ、久しぶりにコロナ明けて久しぶりにやったやつなんですけど、もうコロナのせいで世界大会やらないもんだから、年齢的にやっぱその学生さんぐらいの年齢の人たちが一番その体力とか、まあその体的にやっぱ一番ピークなのが多分中高生ぐらいなんですよ。そっからフォートナイトの選手やってらんないから、まあ普通に就職とかをするためにいろんな理由でみんな世界大会っていうかその 選手としてやっていくのをまあやめちゃうんですよね。だから結構こう志半ばで、フォートナイトの競技シーンを諦めていった人たちがすごいいっぱいいて、あ、千代崎さんどうもです。そうで、そのようやくコロナがある程度緩和してきて、ようやく今大人の大会ができるようになって、それのコロナ明けて言ったら、明けでもないけど、コロナ関係から足かせになってできなかった世界のオフライン大会言ったらこれ2回目みたいなもんなんですよね。
さあちゃんさん、千代武さん、こんばんは。スマイリングフェイスウィズスマイリングアイズ。
本当は俺ブユリルさんが好きだからブユリルさんに大会行ってほしいなと思ってたけど、なかなか、うまくいかずで、今回出てて一番注目してるのは前回も出場してたザゴーさんっていうゼータの選手ですね。ピーナッツハッシュさんの同じ高校だったかな、中学の先輩だったのかなみたいですよ。前にピーナッツハッシュさんが来てて、ザボーさんと一緒になんか家で遊んだみたいなこと言ってたのは、その今日出てる選手、今やってる、これ今日デイ1の1戦目だね。こっから5戦やる。英語は全然わからない。英語わかんないのと、ザゴーさん以外はほぼほぼわかんない。ペポさんとザゴーさんぐらいかな。ペポさんも名前とアイコンしてるだけで顔は今日初めて見た。ザゴーさんはね、結構いろいろやらかし系の人だからよう顔見るけど。ブーが来た。これブーガか。自分のスキンじゃないんだ。
千代武さん、こんばんは。
Bing and Gun just really taking their time to see whether or not they want to try and finalize
12分
on
の
an
5か。
elimination onto Booga. Booga definitely aware, definitely closing in, sees that brief moment of separation there between Gun and Ping and
あー、ザゴー
feels as though it might be his
ザゴーやられて
opportunity to
る。
strike, but
あれ十字マークはまだダウンだっけ。
certainly aware of the fact that they're going to have
さあソロしかやんないからさ、ほぼソロしかやんないから、あそこのマーク分かんなくなっちゃうんだよね。バツマークがダウン、それともあれがダウンじゃないよ、やられてんのかな。レティクルのマークがダウンかな。まあ72人残ってる。全然まだアンチがいるよね。どっちだっけ。左上のところにキルログ出てくるんですよ。
And a long rotate now as they have to push all the way eastern here if he wants to get safe.
You can see Miro kind of just hoping that nobody's going to spot him out from Mega City, but for Miro and Cooper, all too easy pickings here. On the Poroka is trying to hold his own, but unfortunately, this pincer maneuver is one that we've seen time and
サイ
time
ズ
again
シークさん、
from the
今
likes
更
of
で
Miro
す
and
がアイコ
Cooper.
ンとかの配置
Just
違うのですね。
synchronized attack.
そうですね、大会用のその観戦画面みたいなやつなんで、ちょっと分かりやすくなるようにみたいな感じだと思います。武器が分かりやすい、体力分かりやすいようにみたいな。神視点ってやつです。
サイズシークさん、なるほど。
そうだ、これをエイペックスだったらこういう紙視点がカスタムマッチでできるんですけど、フォトナできないからできるようにしてほしいなってすげえ思ってる。
Got a handful of teams
どっちだっ
trying
け
to prioritize.
バツ
As they
と
continue to pull further and further away from Mega City and Hero.
ヒルログ
千
のマー
代武さん、
ク
今日はもうマッチとかしないんですか？
今日多分しないかな。5試合見てそれが何時頃になるかだけど、多分今日フォトナやんないと思う。多分
Yeah, big commitment as well into the double metal fortress here to pick themselves up that low
5
ground
マッチやったら
position.
結構な時間でしょ
Meanwhile, Acorn and Cold just slide their way in. So big teams we're seeing here on the horizon. Tayson Mustache still alive. Malabuka and crew up top. Meanwhile, FHD.
ブーが強えな。
Window and gets punished immediately. Looks like Hero's gonna have to leave his teammate down for the count potentially here now as he's going on in. Not worth sitting around here. Potentially has the team on the hunt. Yes, it is. Yuma right on his heels here. And Vino and Queasy jump in to finish the deal. So that's going to be the huge refreshers for Vino and Queasy now.
But, you know, Queasy, they have so much space to work with. You can see some of the congestion that's starting to build on this bottom edge of the zone. But as far as Queasy and Men are concerned, they're definitely far enough above the damage threshold, 439 damage above. That heisted breacher as well for Queasy, depending
あ
on
もう
which
めっ
direction they
ちゃ
actually
人
choose
集まって
to
きた。
park
お
out.
お、ぐっちゃぐちゃ
Some
よ。
quick work of builds.
プロの人たちなんかこの状況でずっとやってんだもんね。
Luga's in a very tough position here. 172 damage below the surge threshold as the pressure continues to mount on top of his shoulders here. Already out of material now. This is an all or nothing situation. He hears a fight happening nearby. This is a couple of quick farms there, but he has to get into this one. This is truly all or nothing.
Oh!
But no! Bound, and he makes his way through the builds there and crushed.
サイズプシープさん、建築の街ができてる。
おお、街もすごい。
あ、そういえばキーマン生まれました。
あー、これザコやられた？どっちだろう。キーマを最近練習してないや。最近パッドばっかり。
Follow on with them a little bit earlier on. We saw them initially in some pressure throughout some of that mid game, but definitely managed to work through it. High ground though doesn't really seem
ハイグラウンド。
too feasible for them from this
やっぱ銃のマー
position.
ク、レティクルじゃないや、スコープのまあ、レティクルのマークか。あっちがダウンかな。あ、ダウン？うん、ダウンじゃないや。バツがダウンかな。
Decent job, decent hill position there.
Yeah, really having to use these crash pads here to get on out now. It's time to make a move, but again, no one near them who's really going to give them any kind of resistance here. So it's gonna slide on down the side here. As long as no one opens up the edit, they are fine. And Thomas and Malabuka with expert precision get right into
ここまで来ちゃ
position
ったら
here.
回復じゃないや。リブートもできないもんね。
Meanwhile, Pink finds Miro. He's down and out on high ground as well. Trulex and Chicho set up for success. So we're already looking at a very big game. Remember, with just 5 in
あ、
front
で
of
も
us,
結構映像カクカクになるな、こんだけあげる
all
と。
it takes to give you the leg up, put you in the spot to walk away straight to Sunday and not have an early day of competition tomorrow.
But here's a little early glimpse into the leaderboard so far in match number 1, and Thomas Malabuka, they seem to be leading the charge. And with Ping and Kyrie having just been freshly eliminated there, this is a
こ
moment.
の時点でポイント表示されるんだ。
Malabuka and Thomas looking to see as though they might try to work their way up through that secondary height layer, but as far as Mustache and Tayson are concerned, they know they've got teams surrounding them every which way right
おお、
now.
めっちゃいる。海邪魔だね。
And a lot of these teams trying to avoid
これ海邪魔だわ。
just on side of the zone.
NA just has a few teams alive. Acorn and Cold
メ
being
ガ
one
シ
of
テ
them.
ィ付近
Bars
きつい
is
ね。
up still too. Meanwhile, Queasy and Vino, some of EU's best on the move right now. Crash Pads perfectly putting them in position right now.
まあでももうガチガチに建築しなきゃいけないから、どっちにして建築しなきゃいけないから関係ないかな。立ち回りづらいは立ち回りづらいだろうけど。
We love about Queasy, but no, someone's gonna shut that dream down. All the material commit there put to waste as now they've
残り23人、3組か。39人。
King, meanwhile, on the opposite end of the spectrum, as a solo forced into the water, swimming through this ultimate low ground, hoping that he doesn't encounter anybody else anytime soon, but it's gonna be mixing off to his side.
やっぱレティクルのマークがあれだわ、やられてるわ。アルバ山、アルバの山ってどの人だ
？Yeah, the comms come out. They say, "Wait, there's someone under here. Come down, support me." And with no hesitation, there was Pastroki and Kylie just coming on in, getting the full finish there. Here's Pars and Baka Baka. So hurt, but 6 eliminations. My gosh, they are doing it again. They did it at the Invitational. They're doing it at the championship so far. Remember, this is going to be arguably the most difficult bracket to fight your way out of. It is, of course, the 50 best that played through their respective times on those seasons throughout this entire year.
But look up, it's Queasy, it's Venom. They get chopped momentarily by Mustache, but it's still not seeming to deter them. Maintaining control of this high ground. Mustache now hoping that this legendary slurp juice is going to buy him enough time to get out of this difficult position that he's landed into with Jason and Cole. Meanwhile, backside of the zone, trying to charge his way forward, looking to stay as close to Acorn as possible. Because as things continue to move, you can expect all these other duos to follow suit. And Alex gonna eat a shot immediately, a limb.
Meanwhile, High Ground goes for a fight here. Mustache and Tayson trying to take it all away. They take down OCE's power. Alex as well there. Big find for him. But no, they have to conclude. They have to concede it. They give it down. Queasy puts up the fight against Tayson and puts him down as well. No material left for the High Ground team. A very tough spot to be in, but it's all or nothing now. The end game is already theirs. This is surely a successful run already.
この人数でこんなガチャガチャでやったことないな。
Just barely enough builds to actually connect it to the hill over this water where everyone else is trying to deal with it. Rito alongside Ritual, everything in his power here gets the elimination onto Acorn. It looks as though Queasy may have fallen in the feed as well.
What a big trade here. Just a couple players left now. This is it. Bino solo here, but he does have builds. The clutch is possible.
いやもう端で回復やってるわ。もう想像するしかないよね。建築ない？建築ないんじゃない？あもうきついね。おお、すごい。ナイス。強いよ。1戦目で勝つのはいいね。結構精神的にいいんじゃないか。よし、ちょっと俺は枝豆取ってきます。
Victory royale of the global championship, because I know that Major 3 was a bit of a tough time for you.
It's standard for us. It's standard. You know, every year we always got to win first game. We always got to have some victory royales, and you know, we just got to do what we got to do.
Is it nice to be back in the same space on land together? Does that help in game?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, from last year we came here to finish the story, and we'll see how it goes.
How are you making season 4 work for you?
I think we're well prepared. We try to hide everything that we could, and we'll see in the finals.
So tell me about that final fight then, because it was an EU number. You know your opponents quite well. Why do you think you were able to get the upper hand?
I mean, you know, we had Thomas and Malibuga come up on high, and we put them down, thanks to Queasy and myself. And then I clutched out as a solo. You know, it's just standard, and I can't really say anything more. You know.
But you don't want to tell everyone in Copenhagen that you took down the Danish.
すげえ派手な格好。
You're going to become a villain here.
You know, well, I think we came in on our villain arc, and because we came second, you know, we want to show the rivalry's over.
But it's not, is it?
I mean, we'll see. I'm looking at them now.
Well, you guys fix your eyes on each other and get ready to board the battle bus again.
いやでもすげえいいスタートダッシュになったんじゃない？
Here we go.
ちなみにちょっと一瞬画面変えるけど、日本人選手はこんな感じだね。ザゴーさんとかペポさんはわかる。まあペポさんは俺こっちのアイコンしか知らんけど、ザゴーさんはよく顔出してるからね。 で、これが、この、なんだっけ、MK パパさん、多分ムキムキパパさんであったよと思うんだけど、この人がネイチャーのアンリさんとこの選手だね。あとはね、わかんない。この人が、あれこの人が多分ね、名前聞いたことあるなぐらい。
is taking that crown because they want it to be them. They want to make sure they can do it, and I really, really like the way they played that end game.
まあのんびり試合観戦適当に終わってしまして。
They're on high ground. They got to that front side of zone, cranked up, actually fell down at the
時間が残ってたらちょっとあれしようかな。アークでもやってさらっと寝ようかな。
I do think that the zone pulled a little bit in their favor, but by zone 3, Queasy not only had a gold twin mag AR,
ポンポン試合やってほしいんだけどね、本当は。
6 crash pads, but also had 2 mythic slurps. They were set for success from the get-go.
まだチキン食べるよ、僕は。ちょっとワンコにご飯を少し追加で渡してきます。
So good on height, just putting the pressure down and actually using those crash pads. Of course, we saw Queasy going down a little bit earlier here, but I think if I'm Queasy, I'm going to be so confident having Benno on my side because, I mean, just look at that. That's what he can do. Massive shots. If there's anyone you want clutching up as a solo, it's Benno. He's got the aim. He's got the game sense. He has the mechanics. And of course, he's such a smart player. Just look at what it means to them. Getting off to a great start. What a start for them. They couldn't have wanted anything different.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have seen so much about this duo is it really doesn't matter what situation they get put in. A lot of times we do kind of see this happen, one or the other is left alive, but what both do together is they're setting the other up. So it's like, even if one of us falls, it doesn't matter. I've set you up, you have everything you need, go make something happen. Now, of course, in this situation, Final 3, Venno's like,
Shut
where I want you.
Yeah,
Eh,
players that they're
食べたいの？
going up against too
出してあげたのに。
incredible players, and so still to be able to do that as a solo player like Vino just did just
追
shows
加でもう
how
一皿
confident and
チキン
calm
用
he
意してあ
can
げ
be,
たのに
but
王が
also
食わね
very excited too. But I mean, if we're talking about Queasy and Vino, we gotta talk about the other side of the coin, right?
え。あげない。
Seti and Cammy going down early, just like Levin showed us.
Yeah, really
ちょっ
rough
とタイ
start
ムラ
for
グ出て
those
るからこ
guys.
れ
A
一
start
回
they
ちょっと
definitely wouldn't have.
更新。
Start for those guys, a start they definitely wouldn't have wanted. I was saying at the beginning of the show they were practicing their drop spots, they were looking good, but unfortunately things can change. Bust pass
いや
can
この
change,
辺
of
ね本当に日本語でやってほしい
course.
わ。
You never know what can happen. And of course, when you're fighting against a team that isn't on your home region, usually things can be different. Teams have different playstyles that you cannot possibly prepare for. So if there's anything we know about Canny and Seti, when they do make it off spawn, I'm sure in the next games in the future they'll be absolutely fine. It's just getting to that end game for them might be a problem.
Yeah, and this is just the first
15分ぐらい間あんのかな。マッチ2までに多分15分ぐらい今あるんだよ。右下のところに表示されてるの。
something happen. Now, of course, a couple other duos we wanted to highlight for you guys. Thomas HD and Malabuka. Again, like, as we talk about names, you're just going to be like, yeah, nah.
意外と長いな、やっぱ間。
It is great, but looking to perform here as well, and a pretty good showing in game number 1.
試合何分前くらいに始まった？
In game in the first little spawn battle right there.
字幕欲しい。
To kick off the weekend, right? Thomas HD managing to win out of spawn. It wasn't even Thomas actually that clutched it up. It was of course Malabuka.
1030分だからだいたい間用意して45分とか50分ぐらいだね。
Use the reboot ban to block as much shots as possible, and then this little hut managing to find that high ground and then finally take out Canada. What a
まあね、
we know how the rest
英
of
語
the solid game for them.
英語圏の人は多いけど日本語の人はほとんどいないからね。
may have been expecting Malabuka and Thomas HD kind of just take it so soundedly, and I think that they might be taking it a little
もしかしたら
easier in these next
日本人選手が優勝したら日本のフォートナイトチャンネルで字幕付きのやつを出してくれるかもしれないけど、今日はフォートナイトの日本の公式はアップしてないからね。
Can't forget, of course, they had that Rift Island as well. Of course, it was a south playing zone. They know where the spawns are, just outside of that racetrack area. There's not actually too many spawns down in that sort of southeast area, so they were actually able to sort of predict where it was going to be, and they managed to get on there uncontested completely. Nobody wanted to go for it. First game of an in-person event. Who has the guts to go for the island? It's these guys.
Yeah, and of course, the crowd did lose it when we saw that happen, but here we go. A look at our standings. Now, please remember, We have another 4 games to go, but right now, as it stands, Squeezy and Veno, after that victory royale and the 7 eliminations, they hold down that number 1 spot. But look at a couple of names here, right? Reet and Ritual. I mean, 76 points off of the back of 5 eliminations as well. There's no double digits yet in this top 10. But to just kind of see this list of names, man, this is
another team there as well. Kylie Falsroki in third place. Actually managed sort of towards the area, you know, that sort of steamy strings area. So
いやでもゲームの回線とほとんどわかんないですよね。
If you can get that
適
first
当っすよ。
zone under your belt, get those points on the board early. That's a really, really great start from those guys. Because remember, they qualified through the last chance majors, so they
高度すぎて俺もわかんないですもん、実
Major
際。
number 3, that's tomorrow. They qualified to major number 3, so they left it to the last. That's one of those teams that want to get off to a good start here to try and boost their confidence.
メガネ
so that they
熱い
can
な
make it through to Sunday.
Man, I do want to give some shout outs to Reet and Ritual. I know I always take the chance when I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, you go ahead.
But
That's
they
why,
had,
that's why I said it.
I mean, Reet has just evolved as a player from the last 2 years. He used to be the W key king.
1戦目って結構緊張するから、こっからある程度感覚つかんで、2戦目からみんな本領発揮してくると思うんですよね。最初だってもう超手震えてる選手とかいたもん。だいぶ体も温まってきたんじゃないかな。だから序盤で負けた選手が精神的に焦らなければいいですけどね、メンタルの部分で。2戦目も初動でやっちゃうと結構精神的にきついんじゃないかな。
Some would say those Reet brushes. Anyway, let's go back to the leaderboard. Let's talk about more. Just Zeke things. Another duo we kind of highlighted at the start of the show in 6th place. You can see Cold and Acorn, right? They did manage to find themselves the 5 eliminations, but they're maybe lacking a little bit on those placements.
いやー、アルファベットがいっぱいでわかんない。
Rather than kind of like go through all these duos and kind of talk about everybody, I kind of want to talk about what we saw in that game. Mad congested, right? There was
11位から先見たいな。
materials, right? Everyone's doing the same thing. We are trying to go on the defensive. We don't want to make a mistake here in game number 1.
Well, that's due to the fact that this is a low mobility meta. Besides the rocket ramp, so these players, instead of being able to kind of just use these mobility
あれかな、後ろ騒がしかったのこの人たちかな。
they're gonna have to tarp up. They're gonna have to protect themselves as they rotate all the way to that far southeastern side. So it does kind of benefit the teams that are closer there, or the teams we did see a few players using rocket rams in there, or at least having them in their loadout just in case. But this is going to be a difficult meta. It did start in Major 3, so a lot of these players are already used to it, but still,
応援してるチームの T シャツ着てんのかな。ああいうチーム T みたいなのいいですよね。日本もオーデンとコラボでやってるけど。でもなかなかサッカーのあのユニフォームみたいに通気性とか必要なのかわかんないけど。
Earlier on in the game that Acorn and Cold had 12 splashes on just one player, and again using those rotations, that's pretty much one of the only mobility items in the game besides the launch pads and then of course the mini crash pads as well. I mean, they definitely seem to have used that change in drop spot, which isn't something we typically see on this caliber really well. And another team that I want to talk about just by the leaderboard that we saw is Thomas HD and Malabuka. You can see through their placement points that they didn't get that many placement points, but the 15 points from the Rift Island made up the difference.
Those mid-match objectives will make or break some duos. Now, at the start of the show, we talked about Tayson, the online GOAT, looking to make that LAN title kind of all-encompassing just GOAT status. Paired up with Merstash.
全体で75リオ出てくるのかな。まあ機材の準備とか休憩とかも含めると、間15分ぐらい待たせるのはまあしょうがないっちゃしょうがないんですよね。 現地のスタッフからしたら15分には足んねえよっていう話かもしれないけど。早く次行かないかな。全体75チームまで用意してて、で75チームまで賞金用意してるから、全員賞金はもらえるんだね。1、10、100、1000万、違うな、1、10、100、1000万、10万。え、そんなもらえる
？For sure. Now, of course, that crazy moment in the victory out was wild.
最下位の人でも4000ドルもらえるから、51位から75位までが4000ドルで、日本円で言ったら多分59万くらいもらえるのかな。まあそれでも渡航費で消えるだろうけどね。
さあちゃんさん、すごいですね。フラッシュドフェイス。
まあ全体で6億使ってるからね。
Top 3, top 3. You have madness, play madness, play madness top 2. Play madness top 2, trust. I'll let you know if he gets knocked. I'll let you know if he gets knocked.
待って、
1
位で、1位のチームで1億5000万とかなんですよ。実際10位から15位で5000ドルだから。
I love that Veno is able to just focus, right? It's just about just let me rock my mechanics, right? Just tell me.
748万2650円。日本円に換算すると。
So calm, right? He's like obviously there's a bit of chaos in the moment, but Queasy just listen, just grab this. You're fine.
それでも1位が欲しいだろうけど。
That's such a skill as well. I feel like not many people talk about it. When you are down and your teammate is solo clutching like that, the comms that you give are so vital. You can see Queasy just making sure that he is giving the absolute perfect comms, what he needs to know. Maybe he might have missed something. Maybe it's his heels. Maybe it's his materials. Veno's like, okay, let me cook. Just give me the ingredients that I need.
And part of the reason he cooked there was that rocket ram, using it to go straight up into the air. See where the rest of the remaining lobby is. Land down immediately and get that incredible shot. That's why we're seeing them in first place right now. 93 points to start off the day. A pretty decent lead relative to the rest of the lobby here.
And you know, I don't want to say necessarily bravery, but to use that rock ram in that situation almost is like it's risky, right? Mad high risk, high reward, but for him, he makes it work. Here's a look at our top 20 duos as it stands just after game number 1. Remember, 4 more to go. We had highlighted
Cooper here
in there in the 16th place,
as
well as Alex and Worthy. Is there maybe a duo standing on these top 20 that stand out to you guys?
I think for me it's Gripey and Flixie. These guys land at Mega City, so you would maybe expect them to have a little bit of a better game, right? They're sat
次のスキン何にしようかなってか
Especially at Mega City, you can just sit on those towers, on those buildings, and try and farm storm surge. I think they might have struggled with that a little bit.
すごいね、この環境ね。
Teams are rotating in, but it might be a little bit too late. You almost need to rotate out.
イロハスみたいなの置いてる。
Try and get back on that high ground at the right moment. And from what I've seen from those guys, they're doing that so well previously. Maybe a few spanners in the works have been a little bit more difficult.
あ、この人パッドなんだ。
Try and find those refreshes, and that water zone definitely didn't help either.
I mean, I was looking at the top of that
いいね、パッド勢がいいのも。
right there, and Alex and Worthy representing the OCE region, a pretty good job.
この人もパッドだ。
Number 1 there. And I know that a lot of people tend to think that these competitions are going to be, you know, oh, EU and then maybe NA. But a lot of these, you know, smaller regions showing up right from the get-go.
And it's about making a statement in this first day, right? Remember, first 5, top 25 go on to grand finals on Sunday. So the job's not done. But it's about making those statements. Regardless of what we do, if you see us in grand finals, you know what to expect from us.
Yeah, and I think you saw that in the reaction from Queasy and Veno, right? They were hyped, like they were happy. You got to be happy at winning first game of day 1 of the Global Championships, but they weren't too happy. They didn't let their emotions get the better.
もうマッチ入ってたのは、あれも違うか。
And I think that's absolutely vital for them because they know it's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Yeah, and speaking of a marathon, we saw Baka kind of going on a marathon throughout that game right there, grabbing so many eliminations, and part of it definitely has to be to that mythic MK7 that he had there. He was 600 damage above Storm Surge in the middle of the game, and by having that on your pocket, it's definitely going to be, you know, a bit more of a confidence boost leading into the end game.
Okay, so we've highlighted some duos. We talked about what we like. What did we maybe not like out of this first game?
キーボードの持ち方。
Hoping to see change
いろんな種類
going
が
into
な。
these next four, because remember, this is it. You want to end the day in top 25.
いないんですか左利きは。俺左利きの選手いたら無条件で応援するよ。
And I always just prefer to see the zone change in different spots. I think that really makes or breaks these teams because although, yes, Queasy, you know, are an incredible duo in their own right, they did have an advantage by the zone pulling in Southeast. So by showcasing, if they can get another VR, if it pulls all the way to the Northwest, well, that's what makes them champions.
For sure.
なんか今日全然フォートナイト関係ないんですけど、今日俺阪急で帰ってきたんですよ。でなんか体調崩してるから疲れてご飯食べてすぐ横になったんですよ。ずっとなんかしんどくて寝てて、体がしんどいのがもう分かるぐらいしんどいんですよ。ちゃんと寝れないぐらい体がしんどいんですよ。で、それで変な夢見て、ずーっと人っていうかクリーチャーに追っかけられちゃうような夢見てて、なんか家っていうか施設の中、イオンみたいなわかんないけど施設の中なんだけど、ずーっと廊下、円形に回れる廊下をずっとぐるぐる回ってクリーチャーから逃げるっていう。
And we saw how chaotic that low ground was, so I don't know if they necessarily would have even attempted to go for high ground, especially with the two duos of Queasy and then Thomas HD's going up on high. I think that they, you know, may have not even had that great of an endgame if they did make it there.
Okay, so what we're saying is people are fighting over high ground.
Yeah.
We want more of that because
high ground
more
疲れて
fun
ます
and
ね
that too.
なんでそんな夢見たんだろう
They
な
won
って。
6 games out of 12 in Major 2 from high. So it just, if that's anything to go by,
謎すぎる。
all the teams want to be on that high ground for sure.
緑色のなんかゴブリンみたいなのが追いかけられてて、 途中でちょいちょいなんかその来させないためのなんかトラップみたいのを解除したりみたいな、ちょっとデッドバイデイライトに似てるかもしれないやってることが。
And I think he could do even better with threats.
Yeah, that was a kind of a difficult situation to be put in, right? So many people landing there at Mega
2
City,
戦目始まるかな。
losing threats. Very, very
1時間に2戦は足んないかな。これ5戦でしょ、まあ4時5時になっちゃうんじゃないのかな、終わんの。きついな。
Yeah, definitely. And we saw Booga actually going
さす
down
が
to
コペンハーゲン。
trying to be a little bit too aggressive because he needed that storm surge damage. And when you're only
コペンハーゲンってどこでしたっ
it's
け？
so difficult to do double the damage that you need because, of course, he's only on his own.
スウェーデン？
He tried his best.
デンマーク。
74 below at that point is a credit to how much damage and how much aggression he was showing in that mid game because he needed to do it. But I mean, it's Booga. He can make anything happen.
Yeah, and this is still just game one of day one.
Yeah.
There's so many more opportunities for these duos to change up their play style and potentially pull out something we haven't seen.
うわー、もうすごい遠い。
Let's hear from Frankie, who's actually standing by because we want to hear what's going down in the crowd.
Well, I think Copenhagen thoroughly enjoyed game number
派
1.
手。
Did you love it, Copenhagen? Were you happy that it was a European victory? Let me hear you. I have met a couple of Americans who's traveled all the way here. I don't know if there are many North American fans in the audience. Can we hear it? Do you love North America? That's not bad. And don't forget, this is the Friday, so the audience is still arriving because people are coming from work. Maybe someone's plane was delayed. What about Brazilian fans?
リアンさん映んねえかな。
You can always count on the Brazilian fans to show up for their players. Any esport, any game, the Brazilian fans always give love. We've also got so
こういう若い子たちが見に、まあでも現地の人たちは昼間とかだろうからな。
Japanese fan who came in just for them today as well. Any more Japanese or Asian fans?
Japanese.
Oh, I love it. They've all gathered over here. We literally have a row over here of the Japanese fans. Oh, we
Japanese
literally have an
fan.
entire group of people who are in jerseys who are here to support the Japanese players. And what about Middle East and Africa? Oh. Well, we've certainly got some of the crowd going, and I can't wait to hear how things
賑やか。やっぱうるさいな話でした。
For now, let's head back to the desk.
This is what it's all about. It's hard
何言ってるかわかんないけ
to
ど。
not get a little bit emotional
サ
when you
ッカ
think
ー選
about
手み
like
た
we
い。
have
サ
been
ッカー場みたい。
competition kind of separate all year, right? And now getting to come together to just compete. Obviously, there's a lot of stakes, but when you just think about this concept, 6 regions all going head to head, the
こ
fans
ん
in
だ
the
けさ、
stadium, I'm sure fans at home watching,
いろんな
you are all cheering for.
国の人たちが来てるわけじゃないですか、世界大会だから。
So good. I mean, we see it online. We
で、
see
しかも
some
日
stuff
本
on
でや
social
ってるわけじゃ
media,
ないから、
people
日
having a
本
little
人
bit
なん
of
かあんまりいないじゃない
banter
ですか。
between themselves, a little bit of rivalry, some
でその中で
some
日
love
本
is
人の
obviously
声援があったら、やっぱ
see
日
it
本の
all
選手
here,
は
right here,
ちょっ
right
とほ
now.
っと
It's
しますよね。
absolutely amazing. I like the fact that Frankie went around the whole arena there to see who was where we expect to see some people, and we have some very, very loud fans here.
Oh, just a bit indeed. So gentle. I mean, yes, there is a little bit of banter going on online, but there's also a little bit of banter going on in the pre-show.
Yep.
But I want to talk about Reet and Ritual. I already talked a little bit about them, but I just want to showcase how they were able to make it into the end game there. And as we can see, 5 eliminations and that second place spot. I mean, that's a great start.
It's a great start from this team. I mean, we've seen these guys. I mean, we've seen Marie performing on these international stages before. Not quite having the best results that we would expect from his caliber of player, but I mean, he's
もう一個
great.
ビール
He's
持って
gonna
くるべ
be
きだった
hopping in boxes as we get to have a little look at some of the highlights from them. Of course, Ritual
試合
putting on
長えな。
such a great show there as well. And again, this is what we talked about earlier. They're just able to pick up refresh. You can see Reet right now, 0 bills. He thrives in these environments. When he's got nothing, when he's down in the dirt, he can just pull something out of the bag. And you can see it right here. He's got all the loot to make it happen as much as possible. Unfortunately, couldn't quite
これマジで
make it
5時
all
ま
the
でに
way
な
to a
り
victory.
そうだな。
But second place for those guys. If that hill wasn't in the way, a little Reet versus Veno 1v1. I want to see it.
And I love just him showcasing there all of the ability that
まあ
he
ぶっ
has.
ちゃけ
The quick
3
build,
日目の
the easy
決勝だ
edit,
け見てれば
great
いいんじゃないか
elimination,
説もあるんですけど
the
ね。
patience as well as the aggression. I mean, that's what it takes to be a top player. It's not just having good aim. It's not just having game sense. It's having it all.
Yeah, and I think what that gameplay showed me, and actually something we've kind of seen a lot of, but more players have kind of shined a light on, is these sneaky tactics, right? It's not about, let me just run at you, because remember, these players are playing with indicators. There's so many ways to kind of know there's a threat incoming, but for so many players, they're kind of utilizing the strategy where we're just going to crouch around, we're come around this corner, we're not going to build, we're not going to make any sounds, and then suddenly, bang, we're here, and now you're in a fight for Reet. This took him up to 2nd place.
Yeah, absolutely insane. I mean, we saw him there with the exotic shotgun just doing so much damage jumping right in the box. I think that shotgun and him are like a match made in heaven. I mean, it's the perfect shotgun just to jump in the box and go crazy with. So I'm expecting more of that from them. I'm expecting them to maybe try and keep consistent whilst also going for those eliminations. But it's one of those situations for them where do they have what it takes? I think so. I just all about how can they feel after game number 2. What's going through their head right now? How do you even pick up from a game where I'm sure they would have hoped to have won, but they couldn't have got off to a much better start than that. Only 1 place.
My only concern is
いやー、
that
ナ
they
イス
can
欲しい
be
な。
a bit of emotional players, and being emotional is
いい
you
椅子な
know,
んだ
it's
ろ
a
うな。
double-edged sword. It does give you that passion, that excitement, but then it also can be a big detriment where once you're down, you are down for the rest of the competition. Now, again, I keep talking about the evolution of these 2 as players, so hopefully they have been able to kind of break past that wall. But I mean, my goodness. Game number 1, and just so many big names going down early, so many new teams also coming through and kind of showcasing their region. And I already talked about the Mo. Baka and Pars. Baka and Pars getting 8 eliminations in that game.
I mean, they just seemed to have a game where they were so far away from the zone, almost seemingly every single time, yet they managed that so really well. Someone's taking that fight all the way up on the north side of the map, which did drag out a little bit. Of course, it's a situation, you want to be getting that done as soon as possible. You want to be cleaning that fight up ASAP. So for them, they had to expend a little bit of heals, of course, but that did give
日
them
本
the
人
stall
が
surge
顔
down
が
to
若いなって思っちゃうぐらいだから、実 際には思ってる年齢よりかは上だろうから。上なんだろうけど、違うな。思ってるよりも年齢高く見えるから逆か。幼く見えるってことは思ってる以上に幼いんじゃないかな。だって20歳ぐらいの人だと思ったら割と10代とかの人、20代、半ば後半ぐらいに見える外国の人がまだ10代だったりするじゃないですか。大人びた顔つきというか、日本人と顔の作りが違うからって考えたら思ってる以上に若いかもしれない。
Absolutely. Well, we're getting word that game 2 of the day is ready. So let's send it back on up to the casters to get things started.
そうそう来るね。
Thank you so very much, Zeke. That's right. Really beginning the reset right now. Game 2 is just moments away, and as we already know, we will have to see what will happen with Kanata on the drop here alongside Aegis. Here it is.
やっと2試合目。スピード持ってくれよかったね。めっちゃ映ってる。
And just like that, we are right back in it with match number 2 of day
さあ初動どうなるかね。
of the upper bracket of the global
さっき初動でかぶされたの誰だっけ。
and Monster. You were just starting to touch on it, but some of these initial 50-50s, particularly that one down at
サーキンとところでかぶんないといいけど。
maybe some of these players might have expected.
And crazy, look at this, the 50-50 stain and data landing directly on
じゃあもうなんかおつまみ食べながら見てるんでうるさかったら言ってくださいね。この後ミルキーのポテチ食べる。ああ速攻だったな。初動かぶっちゃうよね。初動かぶりはもう武器がいいもん手に入れたかどうかで決まっちゃうからな。GG カーミー。あとって今2戦目だよ。
The FNC has major things for the Asian region, but no, comes in and Cammy finishes the job. They strike back, but it's not over yet. Meanwhile, looks like Kanata and Aegis have also finished the deed on their side of the map.
早かったな。
You gotta think, look, Kylie Fastroki listening to what's happening here. So Cammy and Seti are not safe just yet. Meanwhile, North, Pars Baka.
ジャイロ最弱丹下龍河さん、サーさんこんばんは。
They had more to fight after this.
But it started with Pars and Baka getting that early duo elimination onto Misha and Teeny. And whether or not they can look for a repeat instance is all going to boil down to whether or not Baka and Pars really want to try and take a more aggressive push here.
We
Hollow Whispers
have to bounce back.
初動ここかぶんのきついね。
Take a look at how Kanata with the redemption shot here opens up onto Malabuka. The greed was real. He finishes him off.
俺の聞き間違いかもしれないけど、ブーガの名前がめっちゃ連呼されてる気がする。ここやっぱかぶらせる、もうしょうがないんだ。もう変えないんだみんな。きついね。ここでやられちゃうのきついね。初動でさ、今まで初動ここでやっていくぜっつってさ、初動そこで合わせてゲーム進めてたのにさ、急に初日変えるっていうのきついもんね。ブユリルさんが言ってたわ。初動をかぶされたから途中から初動変えるような立ち回りしたけど、やっぱ難しいって。
favorite duos, one from EU and NA, now have a chance here to really make a big deal and push their way up the standings. Really showing you that, hey, there's a limited number of opportunities and you have to make the best of it. I told you, for Stroke Game Company might be coming on over, and look at this. They're here to play upset.
Cammy and Seti, they might have dealt with Stain and Datus at the beginning, but they still have plenty of work cut out for them. For Strokey, just slightly above Cammy for the time being. Cammy, though, doing a good job utilizing these builds. Some brick gonna be going out.
さ1個手前から1個前の、ボックスから1個奥側のボックス今開けたよね。あの距離感で開けらんないんだよな。今上だったら簡単なんかな。デカポ飲みたいね。あ、顔映していい選手と映しちゃいけない選手いるんだ。人によって変わるわ。左下映るか映んないか。肘髪どこの人なんだろうこの神って人。
They are staying as close to each other as possible because they also want to make sure they stay in contention of this capture point, not trying to let it go for free towards Kylie and for Stroking. It seems for the time being they have successfully managed to push them off entirely. So it does look as though Cammy and Sam find themselves just enough time and the capture point will be in their favor.
Meanwhile, Pink and Vico lurking nearby. They're contesting half of the split off of Acorn and Cold. Now on the other side, Slappy Shores, Tayson, and Merstache. Here's the team that can
日本人選手映んないかな。
take home the grand finals if they can make it there. Definitely.
うわー、上かいこ、あ、あんのか。下削られる可能性があるから、あえて飲まないのか。そうだね。お互いにキル取るつもりは多分つもりっていうか、ここでキル取るわけにはいかないから、取るわけにいかない、取れる、ここでキルを取れるっていう距離感じゃないから、詰めることもしないだろうから、とにかくダメージだけ与えといて、ミニポ多めにしといて、で下削れたらちょっとずつ回復して、最終的に移動するときにデカポ飲むんだろうね、マックスにさせて。でサージ対策してるのかな、あれは。フォートナイトのさっきの1試合目もそうなんですけど、後半で残る人数がめちゃめちゃ多いんですよね。7割8割多分残ってるんですよ。言い過ぎかな。でも7、8割ぐらい最終的に一つの街に集まってくるんで、そうするとその人数減らすためにダメージを与えた数に対して、ゲームの方側から無理やりダメージを与えるっていうのがあるんですよ。なんか言い方おかしいな。なんか毒食らうみたいなのがあるんですよ。そのアンチ外のストームエリア内でダメージ食らってるみたいな感じで、別のダメージを与えられちゃうんですね。でそのためには他の人たちよりも他のプレイヤーにどれだけダメージを与えているか、総数がいくつあるかっていうので、低いやつと高い人たちで差をつけて、低い人たち、あんまり働いてないやつらに、じゃあもうダメージ与えるから、しんどかったら回復してみたいな、ダメだったら死んじゃうよみたいな、ストームのダメージみたいな感じで受けるそのサージっていうのがあって、だから割と相手を倒すわけじゃないけど遠目から撃ったりするのはね、ちょこちょこ多くて、通常のマッチやってるとうちらなんかはあんまりそういう経験しないんですけど、カスタムマッチとかで鶴橋のやつとかをうちでやってるとたまにそれが起きる。お、アルバの山、日本人ユマか、ユマ日本人選手。ジャイボンだってるかな、名前。もう一人。
pick things up a little bit, as again we did see some teams struggling a bit in game number 1 as far as that surge damage threshold was concerned.
Yeah, for Strokey and Kylie, definitely not going to have a problem with that right now. One of the few teams with an elimination right now, already making a move deep into the outskirts here as they see there's a potential cachet left behind. So just trying to secure what they can. Brick needed, metal needed, so very important for them to get their rotation.
まだ42人残ってますからね。42人じゃないや、42チーム。
On the other side, Pink and Vico from the Frenzy Farms now up to a high ground position here.
おお、当たるそれ。
Those are extremely important onto teams inside the mega city.
But again, we see some of the action that's been unfolding here so far, but we've got Levin to give us even more.
Thank you very much, Taco. Look, we just saw Pink and Vika there on the screen. We've seen Acorn and Cold in this game as well. Coming into this game, both these teams in the top 10. If you know anything about me, I like to see action. I like to see fighting. And I thought these two were going to be fighting.
Way to go, Vika.
We might have to fight them. There's not enough loot in this area for both of us to share. But they're somehow making it work. So far in game one, both of them, they're making things so scrappy. Every single bit of loot they can get, they're going for. And somehow they're in the top 10. If they can continue, I expect both of these teams to quarrel. But when it comes time to grand finals, I don't expect them to be friendly anymore. I'm thinking if they can both qualify, that's when we're going to start to see some action for them.
That's an excellent point. It's one thing to make your way through a top 25 being the the hurdle to overcome. That's a pretty low barrier for some of these top tier competitors. But when you get to finals, you know it's gonna be a lot harder now as number one.
あ、資材は映ってないのかここで。さっき資材さ表示してる時あったけど。
Especially, I mean, you have to consider what he even mentioned in one of the pre-show videos that we saw.
あ、しかもマップの上のところにちゃんと拡張何使ってるかも表示してるわ。建築資材の量みたいな。ザゴってね。わかんない。5試合やるっつってるから多分5時頃までやってんじゃないかな。ね、それ。回復させてワーとあれじゃないかな、ダウンしてる敵を抱えた状態でちょこちょこ回復させてダメージ稼いでんじゃないあれ。やるよね。ザゴっぽい。ザゴチームっぽい。あれ絶対サージ対策のダメージあそこで与えれるんでしょ。嫌われるね。
Decent span out here. We'll get some nice shots onto Mustache. Actually tags him all the way into his
IQ プレイだね。でも嫌われるプレイの仕方だよ。まあね、でもまあこれも戦略だからね。ザゴーさんが口悪くて結構挑発的な人間だっていうのが我々は知ってるからちょっと感じ悪いなとか思うところあるけど、でもまっとうなあれは何 IQ プレイだよね。あの人でかい口だけどちゃんと結果残すからね、かっこいいよね。
As we know it, anything can of course happen here.
It's got to be so scary sliding over the ice just then. You're just hoping that no one's going to be able to catch sight of you, but Cooper, not sure he's even fully aware of the fact that Zago and Peppo a little bit more towards the interior of this jungle trench. Miro following suit.
戦うかな、戦わないかな。キルポ手に入れてて、でサージ対策もやってるから順位ポイント取りに行った方がいいでしょ。どのくらいのポイントあるのか知らんけど。下にいるのしんどいね。おー、出てきた。2チーム上がるね。神視点ができるんだったらな、カスタムマッチでこういうのやりたいんだよな。
As there are only 5 games, but no, instead they say, hey, look, let's go for the full rift. Straight to the top. No zip line for us.
リートわかるな、聞いたことあるな。
Able to juke out some of those distant shots in the air and being the first ones to actually touch down on Rift Island does mean that they'll be the first to try and make use of those bonus objective points with the Capture Island point. But again, in Ritual, I mean, who did we see last game on the Rift Island? It was Thomas and Malabuka. Well, guess what? They got eliminated super early by Kanata and Aegis. So now it doesn't seem as though there's anyone posing too much of a threat. They've been fighting for as long as the game has started, it seems.
Yeah, it's still Chubb's team too.
Kageなくしてほしいな。
Before it seems like he's giving them a problem on the rotate into the zone, and look at the cost of Bryce because Bryce was fallen at some point or another. As
意外と世界大会でもヒーロースキンばっかりはなんないんだね。使ってる人もいるけど、やっぱ各々好きなスキン使ってるわ。まあ、ある程度ね相方と合わせるっていうのはするだろうけど。
And again, it's still early on.
Bars goes into the box. He's going for the full push. Baka's here to back him up. And this is what happens. You shake the hornet's nest and you might get stung. And luckily for him, he will escape somehow, some way, barely sliding his way out the side here. Baka has a different goal in mind, though. He's going to go around the outskirts here. No stranger to the zone. Play with it, but ouch. That surely wasn't a part of the strategy.
まだ4投目でしょ。
Tough spot to be in now.
まだ1打目だから全然大丈夫だね。ストーム要因になったらちょっと怖いけど、一旦外側から抜けるのありだよね。ポジション悪いの。ね、やっぱ画質の設定上げるとさ、レンガのこういうちょっと何縁の汚れとか削れとかこういうデザイン性が良くなるのはすごいいいなと思う。やってるね。紙視点いくつもあるからこうやって画面切り替えられるのはすごいいいことだよ。
My oh my! What a tough spot to be in for Cammy and Seti. Of course, didn't pull the luck of the draw game 1 and now game 2. Not going in their favor necessarily here. Could we be seeing them a lower bracket push?
まだ78人残ってる。97人分の78を。全然キルログ見てなかったけど。どうなんだろう。あれ、神倒れてる。
Might make it to Cammy in time, but unfortunately the rocket ram speed just not enough. Having the reboot card though, talk about how difficult it can be to look for that reboot ban opportunity, but it might actually be the intention from Seti at this point, because it's a lot easier to make it into that end game if you have your duo with you.
Well, last game we saw Booga make it work as a solo with no threats. This time Seti says no, I'm not going to end game by myself.
アルバの選手まだ残ってるね。
See if it ends up working out. Meanwhile, Queasy and Vino continue to farm their surge tags here. Desperately in need, though. 145 damage above that. Protection is not going to be enough for long, at least. They're recognizing the potential threat looming. Here comes the rotate, though. Another sniper in hand here, so Vino really flexing and exercising his sniper play here.
はい、おやすみ。おつおつ。
Vino, though. Taking his time with the approach, as you would expect. Have to keep in mind for as much of a fragger as he is. Oh no, trouble though for threats here. He's got a nice knock, it seems. Might be able to find the double finish, but still, Anon doing everything in his power to delay as long as he can. But this storm is so problematic. Threats. Trying to see if he can finish the job now onto Anon. He wants this refresh of materials from both sides, and Anon bound to get something for his troubles at this point. Full sharp tooth pump. Prime ready to go. That right side peek.
Oh.
And it was nearly a miss there for threats, but he will be able to capitalize. Other elimination secured here.
チャーシュあるぞ。
That's going to be Oshi taken down by NA.
If it wasn't for that overshield, he was
俺だったら拾わないけど。
He had 2 eliminations worth there. That's 100 HP in Siphon, and he ended with 86 health, by the way. surely the map doesn't quite add up, so he needed a
重
little
い
bit
ね
more that we couldn't see if it was that overshield that kept him alive there. My gosh, how close that was. Well, for QND, Rapid here, Middle East, two of their finest here. It's time to get on into this new zone here. Long road to the making. It's going to be a tough one for them. Meanwhile, out of the top 5 here, only 3 duos remaining here in game 2 for Shogi and Kylie down, and Shari, Vision View down there. You can see on the right.
On the bright side, though, for QND and Rapid, did see them with that Storm Chaser augment, so that's definitely gonna.
まだザゴ残ってんのかな。わかる選手みたい。
Surplants doing the job as far as getting some health and shield regen is concerned, but definitely still need to wait around, see if they can get more. But unfortunately, when you are this
今のがあれですね、サージです。雷ドカーンって食らうの。
as far as damage is concerned, and that number only growing bigger.
Yeah, that's not enough. They need a lot more. Coming up quite
これサージ
short
です。
here.
一定数のダメージを与えてないから、ああやってちょこちょこダメージ食らうようになって人数減らすようになってるんですよ。雷がドカーンってきて。右側にダメージトランスフォールドみたいな書いてあると思うんですけど、なんか読めないけど。ダメージボーダーみたいのがあるんですよ。で、それ以下で下のとこに300いくらって書いてあって、300いくらダメージ与えないと今の雷食らうよって。でこの人だと18っていう。あともう18攻撃食らわせられれば今の雷に打たれないんですけど、この選手だと今ダメージのボーダーに対して580ダメージ与えてるから雷食らわないっていうそういう設定になってます。多分他の人たちのダメージ与えてる量とかによって上下するんで、割と自分たちも攻撃しつつそこのボーダーから下に行かないようにいなきゃいけないっていう。で、一定人数減ったらサージのダメージ自体がなくなるはず。ペポ残ってる。
ターちゃんさん、そういうのもあるのですね。フラッシュのフェーズ、難しい。スウェットドロップレッツ。
フォートナイトの大会って人数残っちゃうんですよ。だって右側のこのストームで見てマップで見ると、通常のカジュアルマッチだったらこの状態でもう10人いないぐらいなんですよ。まあディオだからもうちょっといるかな。10人いないぐらいだと思うんですよ。この状況で今48人まだ残ってるんで。人数減らすためにはみたいな。ほらこんだけいんの。人数多すぎるからちょっと間引くよみたいなのがそのサージっていう。みんなサージ対策のために序盤で敵倒さなくてもいいからアサルトでダメージ与えとかなきゃっつってちょんちょんやったりするんですよ。アルバの人まだいる。
ターちゃんさん、スプジャウジャしてた。サーブルフェーズ。
こんなもう競技シーンじゃなかったら見ないですけどね、ここまですごいの。ランクとかやっててもここまで最終盤人残りすぎないと思う。極力順位ポイント狙いたいしね。
NA definitely striking back.
Baka Par is still alive.
まあ結構日本人選手残ってんじゃね。
Even Okis is up right now. Saw him mixed in the feed. Those are a few of the NA competitors that are up. I do wonder where is Ziamzo? As he was also inside the top 10. If teams can continue to keep up that pacing there. But meanwhile, the story right now is how far can Seti push this here?
ああ、神やられた。ジジ神。
That 49 damage above the surge now. Halfway
い
through
やもう
material, this
もう
is a
目
tough spot to be in. Here's
回っ
Yonzo's
ちゃうよも
mid to high ground here, moving all the way across. Beautifully done and clean execution on the rotate here. He actually takes
うしょう
down
がないんだけど
Middle
画
Eastern's
面もうちょっと
hero
滑らかに
there.
見たい
So that was that second to high ground team, and now they just have to deal with Queasy and
ザゴー残ってる
They will be the kings of the top.
見たいな日本人選手日本人選手の中で一番強いのザゴーじゃないかな
Teams are going to have to look out. Cole, though, with Acorn, doing an excellent job taking out Sphinx and Oyo. That's going to clear things up for them as far as these immediate part players are concerned. Seti, though, again, the fact that he is still kicking, despite being a solo for so long here, MDF, one of the fantastic display of his experience.
倒した人もやられた人も両方とも今 GG 神になったけど
Cammy and Seti are putting down the comms needed here to navigate through this game so effortlessly, making it look easy. Meanwhile, on the low ground, here's Middle East. Fahad here,
うわ
representing
もう
4 elims right
結
now. What a
構
big
最
spot
終
to
盤
be in.
よ
Showing us
残り26
just
人
how good they really are. And let's again not forget, this is the Global's best tier. Joining us for the upper bracket, you had to perform
あザゴーいるいるいるいるいる
tier of the
頑張れ頑張れ
to be here today. Kanata falls inside the top 16 there. Very far push for him, but not good enough.
Yamzo and Rise just doing such a great job leading the charge on the low
ペコ
ground.
だペコやられたね多分
Outside of the zone,
あーザゴーやられあ違う
doing their best
いや
to
さ
cut off
ストームでやられてんのか
everybody that keeps trying to traverse
ストームじゃない
into
それ
their
ストームマークだよね
as now Yaemon will meet the same fate as
ヤマやられ
so
た
many others so
ユマ
far.
か
Seti though still managing to type his way through but running so incredibly
左上ばっか見てるわ今
well. Make that 6 left to his name, hoping that he can find
チャージのマークと
The one who's gonna find
ス
that
トームのマークがよくわかんないな
Focus, they're straggling in the distance, but hold up. Here's Reed. No ritual in sight by himself. We already seen him do it once. He clutches up.
残り12人
Goes in and takes
わ
down
あ
Mars. Once friends, now enemies here on the stage. Meanwhile, Seti says, hold up. You want hype for free? Not when I'm in the lobby. Down goes Geras.
残り10人
Trade there, but Shari comes to the rescue here for his teammate, and he is the new king of hype for a second, but Acorn Cold representing for NA. Not known for the big Elans, but so far the placement points exactly where you expect it to be. Here's Yamzo. Yamzo clap from the side here. Rise up to do it by himself. He cannot flirt with the storm here. Acorn's clutching.
よくこの大事なシーンのところでスイッチングできるよな今一瞬違う選手映したんですよその運営の一番大事なシーンをちゃんとそってスイッチペッて変えられるっていう把握力運営の人のこういうのすげえなと思っちゃうおはやるあでも上いけないねこれこれ上きついねでも上の人勝ちとあーハンマー使うハンマーじゃないやロケットラム使うああもうこれもう HP 勝負だわうわやっぱ雲に雷マークはストームでやられたマークかヘッドホンつけてるけどイヤホンもつけてるっていう耳ばっかよもう
How did you feel in those final moments of that game?
Great.
And what was going through your mind?
派手な姉ちゃん
You had an American flying up into the air, getting the information
スカート
of you,
破けてるよ
but you had the better health in the situation. How do you feel clutching in front of all of these people?
Amazing.
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 That's a perfect word. Let me come over to you, Geras. What was it like watching Cherry in that situation?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, anyway, like in this final situations, I already knew we have so many points. We are already like basically
俺も
wild, so I was
コペンハーゲン行きたいな
I believed in him. I knew he will win it.
まだ2試合目ですからねあ3試合のことですからね
Two games in. So are you already thinking about Sunday?
Not yet, but yeah, I mean, I think we are qual, so let's like maybe keep focus on Sunday, right?
Absolutely, but also focus on the next 3 games because obviously you want all of these duos to fear you. What sets you apart from the competition?
I think just good strategy, good communication in duo. Yeah, I think that's all.
さあこれあとまた15分20分ぐらいのインターバルだと思いますけど、どうしましょうかね。選手の順位知りたいな。
Yeah, and not only did they grab that victory royale, but they did it with double-digit eliminations. I did not expect to see that so early on in the competition. They pretty much were grabbing eliminations as soon as the game started, and by zone 8, they had 4 eliminations.
さっきのさ、頭脳プレイさ、
hold that low ground for so long and clean up the rest of the lobby. They deserve their VR.
It was a battle of solos there in the end as
さっ
well.
き
I
の
think
さ、
that's 5 solos right there at the end, all battling it out. And that's what we want to see from this. It's
ザゴーとテポの
really, really not easy.
頭脳プレイ、
Great job.
ツイッターに載ってたわ。
Well, if we're going to talk about solos clutching up, then we gotta talk about
でも
SETI.
最終的に多分ストーブじゃなんだっけ。
Down early in game 1, we knew
これうまいね。
something a little different in game
ずる賢いことをやらせるのはピカイチだマジで。
and it looked like they had a pretty easy 50-50 there.
サージ対策。
Miami did end up going down in that fight. And they were able to make it come back against Datus and Stain. But then
脳みそザゴー、脳みそペポ、脳みそ。IQ プレイ。あ、もうこれ IQ200 って書いてるもんね。言ってる人がやっぱ IQ プレイってなってるもんね。やっぱサージ稼ぎますね。やっぱそうだよね。わかんないこれ。
It's just like he was like, you know, he's like an autopilot.
I think
honestly, I think it was a great play. I think that there was so much chaos going on in the low ground that they weren't expecting anyone to try and take high ground. SETI positioned himself just on the side. You can see that they weren't aware of that SETI was going to be coming in onto them and grabbing that one elimination. It did eventually lead to his, you know, demise, but he was still able to grab 4 more points as well as kind of weaken the other players in the lobby.
最終的に優勝ってなんで決まるのですか？
ポイントをですね、名前のところのチームの選手たちの名前の横のところにポイントとなんちゃらかんちゃらとか書いてあると思うんですけど、あれの総合ポイントが一番大きい人たちが、優勝です。で今日 Day1 で、明日 Day2、明日、Day3 で、で各今日は50チームか、一番強い50チームがまず来るんですよ今日で。デュオだからなんだっけ、デュオだから50チームいて、100人いるんですね。だからまあマックスの人数、実際にはちょっと今日危険になった人、失格になった人かな、いるから人数ちょっと違うんですけど、約100人がまず試合をやって、まあその50チーム中25位まで、半分までは1位から25位までの人たちが3日目日曜の夜の決勝に出場するんですよ。で、ここから残り26位、今日の26位から残り、50位までのチームと、なんか補欠チームみたいのがいて、Day1 には参加できないけど、Day2 だけ参加できるっていうチームがいて、それが、明日25人来て、25チーム来て、で、今日の、予選通過できなかった26位から100位まで、50位までの人と、その補欠の人たちで50人までやって、25人決めて、最終的に3日目の決勝でまた50人戦うみたいな。確かこんな感じ。間違えてるかもしれない。じゃあ合ってるね。2日目は補欠25チームと、今日の、負けた26位以降の25チームでやって、そこからまた25チーム決めて、最終的に3日目戦うかな。
I love this playstyle, right? He's almost fearless. We actually saw something very similar from Baka and Pars in the last game, right? One of them dropping down to 1 HP, but it's the confidence. It's like it doesn't matter what situation we're in. We just have to go for it. Fine, but let's go for it. Now, remaking that word is wild. And I think, especially for him, he's someone that for a long time, especially when it was NA East, NA West, he kept saying things like, I want to go up against these other regions because I want to prove that I have what it takes to compete.
I mean, what a better place to do it, right? He's making the crowd happy, he's making us happy, making the team happy in first place. Well, right there at the end, we saw the player actually going for the med miss. He said, no, you're not having that med miss. I'm coming straight in there. And the reaction from the crowd was so cool at that moment.
Well, I already mentioned them, but Acorn and Cold also had a great performance as well. And I mean, I love to see NA on top. Minnie, what's going on?
I mean, NA on top here, this is a difficult one for them. But, you know, I like the way they've adapted their play style. And, of course, they're doing very, very well at the moment. We can see this going through in this later stage of the game. I think there was a moment in this end game where they were trying to look up for that high ground. Didn't quite happen for them. But these mid to low ground layers is what they're known for. It's what they did so great in Major #1. And as I said earlier, they've actually adapted their drop spot. Levin said it so well in that mid-game segment. We saw them actually going further away from Pink and Vico, which is something that I didn't expect to happen. I thought they'd just go for a 50-50. It's day one. Why not? And of course, it's working out for them. And Acorn doing such a great job solo clutching. We've seen him do it before, and he's done it again.
Such a clean elimination there, and you know that they're feeling good going into game number 3 and 3rd spot. And at some point, I mean, if looking at the points and kind of calculating it, maybe our top 3 have kind of already
そろそろマッチ3始まるね。さっきなんか機材トラブルでもあったのかな。
crazy things can happen, right? I mean, we've seen
意外とマッチ3は早いわ。
eliminated on drop, so that might not be solidified just yet, but still, they have to be feeling even more confident going into the next 3 games.
Absolutely, and you know, we have thoughts and perspectives. We actually have it.
意外とやっぱ間まあ観客もトイレ行ったりするもんね。
What's she have to say?
I told you guys I was going to be coming from the lounge throughout the weekend. This time around, we have Redis joining us, a fantastic creator in the Fortnite space. And she told me that this is actually her first time experiencing an event as a fan. So tell us all, how has it been experiencing the Global Championship so far?
I've honestly been watching, I think, FPS for the last 2 years, but as you said, first time watching from an audience. It feels incredible. I'm seated right next to...
Sorry, guys. Sorry. We actually have to go back to the desk, so we're going to toss that back to Zeke and the crew.
Don't worry. I will find a way to talk with you soon. Don't you worry, Reddish. Don't you worry. Man, this has been such an incredible start to the day. The first 2 games of the Global Championship.
後ろでさ、子供たちが踊ってるじゃないですか。ちょこちょこ踊ったりするじゃないですか。多分フォートナイトのエモートやってるんですよ。スカイルトルーパーいる。
And it's like, okay, well, remember top 25. What do those points look like? After one good game, a duo could very well just qualify, right? They might just need a good game with a couple VR or a couple eliminations rather, and it might be just enough.
It definitely might. I think for now, these teams that are in this sort of top 5, top 3, realistically, you have to think that they have got it in the bag. But as you mentioned, Z, anything can happen. They've got to keep their foot on the gas because not only is it really, really good to it's also really, really good practice. Really good to be in this environment. What are these other teams from these other regions going to do? Because who knows? Come Sunday, it could be anyone's game.
Well, we're talking about foot on the gas. We got Cammy and Seti there going up 21 placements, obviously going down early in game number 1. That's going to put them in the 2nd page of our lobby list. But we gotta talk about Seti using the rocket ram once again. That seems to be where the utilization of this rocket ram is going. Launching high into the sky, seeing where the rest of the lobby is. I love this. And yes, by having the rocket ram, you see that a lot of these teams are forgoing that 3rd heal, which can be incredibly beneficial. But it just
当たり前っちゃ当たり前なんですけど、アジア大会のメインって日本なんですよ。
It just shows how good this duo are individually. We talk about them so often as Cammy and Seti as a collective, but we have to remember these guys are both incredibly talented.
でもどうなんだろうな、海外のサイト見てないからわかんないけど、基本アジア大会の実況を日本人がやってるんですよ。もしかしたら日本だけの配信かもしれないですけど。
And you know what
で、アジアサーバーの選手たちが、まあ日本代表とか、まあ日本だけじゃないですけど、代表決めるのに、やるときに、日本のフォートナイト界では有名な実況の人とか、ストリーマーみたいな人たちがああやっておしゃべりしてるんですけど、そっち見る方がいろいろ分かりやすいですね。やっぱ言葉の壁はすごい高い。
It's been phenomenal. I was saying earlier, but that I've been watching every single FNCS for like the last 3 years, I think. But this is my first time watching from an audience. I couldn't make it to the US last time, and it's been crazy. I'm sitting right next to Gentlemates, the French people, and they go crazy every 2 minutes. The audience goes crazy. And also,
海外の多分フォートナイト系の有名なストリーマーとかなのかな。
Claimed the island and then Queasy won, so it's been just amazing to watch as a fan and supporter and Fortnite lover. So, yep.
Yeah, awesome. I love the fact that you're kind of bringing up who's been doing well throughout the day. Of course, this is the upper bracket. We have 25 teams going directly into the finals after the day. Give us a couple names that you think are going to be, towards the top of that leaderboard after the end of the day.
We still have a few games left, so I have a feeling almost everyone kind of still has a chance.
True.
But yeah, GX are on top. I hope Queasy and Malibuca will do it. Hopefully I didn't just jinx them. And I don't know, so many teams are doing amazing. We have Cold and Acorn, Pink and Vico, Seti and Kami, they're making a little comeback. So it's super exciting to see who's gonna make it in the end. But all of them are amazing and super talented at this video game.
Yeah, awesome. And for anybody that would love to check out your content, Reddish, let them know where they can find you.
Reddish on Twitch, or I'm Reddish on Twitter.
There it is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, Reddish, for the insight. And we're going to be tossing it back to the desk with Zeke and the crew.
Thank you so much. Reddishers, fantastic as always. Now, as we kind of draw closer to the next game started, we kind of wanted to highlight a couple things. Really quickly, Miniminder, you kind of called this out for us, and I wanted to take an opportunity to talk about it. Zago and Pepplecliffe, they had a very interesting Storm Surge strategy in that last game.
Yeah, they did, and I think this just encapsulates what LAN events and global events are all about. We never know what these other smaller regions could be pulling out of the hat when it comes to strategy. And what I saw there in that end game was actually, or that mid game actually, I should say, Zago and Peppo actually got a knock. They were able to carry the body towards some of the slurp mushrooms, keep healing the player on those slurp mushrooms, which of course that benefits them because they can keep tagging up the player to get some more Storm Surge damage. We've seen Storm Surge have such a big impact so far in these first 2 games, and if you don't have enough damage, it's going to result in your elimination. That's what I really like to see from this. Those guys pulling out strategies I haven't seen before. Just keeping on healing up the player. I love it.
Leave it to Peppo and Zago to do that. And also leave it to Queasy and Vino, who had a pretty good strategy as well early on to get those Storm Surge tags. We actually saw a sniper on their loadout, which is not something that we typically see. People tend to go for the twin mag. And then they also had
まあザゴーとペポがヒーリングなんちゃらって言ってたから、やっぱあそこの回復するところでサージ対策やったのは素晴らしいと言ってるような気がする。表情的に見てると。
end game, and I say that as Queasy goes down, but still, being able to make it all the way there is going to get them those much-needed placement points.
Yeah, trying to get Venom to clutch twice in a row, it's a bit harsh, isn't it? You can't do it again, surely, but no, I like to see that.
He's waiting till Sunday.
Yeah, he's waiting. He's putting it all in the tank. He brought it out in game 1, but no, not a bad game at all. We saw them trying to set up for what we're expected to see from them. Let's see if they can continue.
That's right. I'm excited to see game number 3, so let's kick it on over to our casters to take us in.
Thank you so much, Zeke, and that's right. Game number 3, nearly ready for these players to hop off the battle bus, but Monster, we've been seeing some pretty interesting things so far throughout the first 2 games, and all that not to the game, because the battle bus is good to go. Match number 3, right here.
はい、寝ちゃってください。もう俺はもうダラダラただ試合を見たいだけなんで、気にしなくていいですよ。
We heard you make some noise. It sounds like you are ready for game number
はい、おやすみなさい。
Remember, there are only 5 rounds of Fortnite here today, so this will officially solidify the halfway mark. To start things off, though, we have to begin here at the Frenzy Farms. Cammy, Seti versus Data Sustain. We've seen this go either way. We know that Kylix is nearby as well. Kyrie here, so you gotta be careful.
もうここは毎回被るね。変えないわ。
the tag, and they're doing a great job. They actually have the game rights here.
3試合目で毎回負けてるんだったら移動するだろうけど。
Weapons at his disposal. Tactical DMR, infiltrator pump as well. Stain trying to do his best to pressure to the bottom of this barn. It's going to be Stain actually eliminated first. A nice tag team appearance there from Cammy to get the backup necessary.
さっきもこの2人じゃないかな、神。
Eliminated yet again so early on, MD, and we're already in game 3.
Yeah, this time extremely quick. They secure the eliminations here.
大体見に行くとこは一緒だね。
Man and Cal Gamer versus King potentially unfolding here. I do know Kanata is battling as well. It seems like he was taken down and eliminated.
頑張れって聞こえる。
Duo, so we are already seeing a very huge miss up. Meanwhile, King, he will show you why he is one of the best. Let's not forget what Cal Gamer had to say. He
頑張れ。
himself that he does not believe King has what it takes. He
配
thinks
信に
King
乗るように
is
頑
a
張れ
bit
言ってるな。
overrated, but I beg to differ. We have seen what he can do in person. We have seen what he can do in just clean head-to-heads in a box fight type environment. He's incredible.
It's literally what King established his name on, was his prowess when it comes to box fight match opportunities. And here again, King looking for his chance to take down Cal Gamer. Cal Gamer actually gonna look for a brief retreat here though, at the relentless retreat.
I like it.
Seems as though he wants to try and look for some better weaponry,
Zago
or
は1キル
possibly
した。
just looking for a different position
いいね。
altogether.
Yeah, upgrade will be
あ
important.
ここ初動にしてるんだ。
Since he's running out of material there.
ザゴーとペポ。
Shaka, meanwhile, Zagu, Peppo, they had the knock, but they didn't get the finish. That's going to be a big mess up.
いいねいいね。
Big mistake, big opportunity lost, but Zagu finds another tag here. Meanwhile, looking for the big opener. Another one there. Okay, chipping away, but nothing significant this time.
That is massive though.
資材欲しいね。あ、前半はちゃんと資材移すんだ。多分一応なんかあっちゃいけないから後半見せないのかな。でもこれ見えないね。あ、映った。 集めてる時だけ映すようにしてるんだ。なるほどね。あら、2人いんのか。欲しいね、でもそこのスキル。回復欲しいね。壁貫通しないからね、それね。あ、お互い持ってるんだ。ここはきついぞ。回復してる回復してる。ペポだねこれ。クレイジーラクーン P しかまだ映ってないけど、クレイジーラクーンのペポだね。CR ペポでいいじゃん。回復してる。ジャガー。今接敵してて戦ってるからっていうのもあるけど、やっぱさっきの IQ プレイがあるからちょっと注目されてるんだろうね、運営の方から。いいね。おお。ナイスナイスナイスナイスナイスナイスナイス。
Why he is one of the best, coming directly out of the region of Asia, representing all the way for Japan.
制圧した。
My oh my. Take a look now with Kylie and
Nice, 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 nice.
For the most part, but for Strokey and Kylie here at Stevie Springs, south side of the map seems to be working out relatively well for them so far, having that elimination already, and now that's going to alleviate a decent amount of pressure here for Strokey and Kylie. They don't necessarily need to fully push in just yet. They can really wait.
ザゴーとペポは今注目されてるから後半映るだろうな。パッド勢だこの人。
Mix things up a bit as now Misha and Teeny just above Bryson Chubbs. Looking for an opportunity to find an elim or two here.
This is pretty interesting because Tina and Misha definitely have been having a tough time against Baka and Pars, but Bryce and Chubbs have been jumping in that battle as well. It has been a three-way engagement here at the Shady Stilts and around. So Tina and Misha trying to mix it up, saying, all right, what can we do different? How can we adapt here? Clearly, they made it to the upper bracket, right? But having a tough time so far. Might be looking like a Saturday appearance if they can't turn up and turn up soon.
Meanwhile, Miro might be stuck in an engagement up against Shari is, well, a forced retreat actually. Cooper very accurate. Shots. Miro leading the charge up against his solo, and it seems like it's only a matter of seconds before Shari is completely collapsed upon, doing everything in his power to try and stay alive just one moment longer to see if there's somewhere that he can build off to actually scurry away and escape. But Cooper and Miro, they are relentless. They refuse to let this opportunity go. And it's going to be another 4 points by the way of Elim as they finally close out on Shari.
You got to respect that right there. Cooper all the way with the initial opener, and then the call out, setting up Miro for successes. He said, hey, look, they're one. Trust me. Miro with no hesitation jumps directly in.
まあグンナーのスティンガーか。まあ悪くはないが。普通にキングコンバットでもいいかもな。MK7 のファウンデーションの MK7 アサルトが手に入ればよかったけど。
Clownsky and Grolls, though, a team that we really saw in quite the position last game. It was really their surge strategy that seemed to be a little bit lacking in game number 2. So now the mentality here for Grolls and Clownsky, if they want to find some points, want to work their way up.
もう見なきゃいけない情報が多いんですよね。なんかさ、全体把握するんだとチーム数と人数は知っときたいし、左上にたまに敵がやられるとダウンなのかキルされたかっていうのが表示されるんですよ。そこの表示を見ながら右下のストームの時間とか確認して、で周りのマップ誰がいるかとか。欲しい情報がたくさんありすぎる。左下の顔、まあ実際の本人の映像と真ん中の文字の名前が本人の名前で、左下のところに写ってる本人の写真の下のところに載ってるチームって書いてあるところの下の名前が仲間の人の名前なんですけど、まあ、仲間の人と名前と体力。これメイバン持ってるのはわざとかな、それともなかったからそれにしてんのかな。
They are working their way towards the grand finals here and now.
いやでも火力的にやっぱきついだろうからたまたまだろうな。シャープトゥース使うだろう。
Adding to their total point count for the day. Because again, we are in game 3 of 5. So this is a technicality of the halfway mark for a lot of these teams, and this is where you can really start to see the consistency that needs to be maintained come into play.
Yeah, one might say this is the most important game of the tournament here. Between game 1 and game 3, I mean, either you set yourself up for success or you turn things around now and come out a victor. And by that, I just mean top 25, right? That is the goal today. And then, of course, Sunday, get as high as possible, make as much money.
まだ40チーム残ってますよ。
The winner of that $1 million first place prize. Here we got Pink and Vico. I know we're hyping them up. Definitely a team that has had a lot of success. Although, again, playing off the scrappy drop, but look, they find themselves finally fighting Acorn and Cold.
True, but they had Calgamer and 7-Man also on the opposite end of them. It seemed as though they were kind of sandwiched in that position. So, might be very tough circumstance for them to actually work around it as well. Here in the heart of Mega City, you got Flixie way up top on the building. Grippe seems as though they had a successful battle because Flixie with 1 elimination looked as if he just got the opportunity to revive Grippe there as well. But now from this aerial point of view, opportunities to use these grind rails if necessary for a quicker rotation, but Mega City seems to be relatively safe for the time being. And way Blixie keeps looking down leads me to believe that he's got some form of idea that Suns and Anon are the team directly below him.
Just outside of the mega city, King and Phaser Cam here. Very interesting. They've had a very long track from the relentless retreat till here. No elims just yet, but this is a perfect time to go ahead and catch up 11. So let's hear the word.
Thank you, Mo. So like you see, no elims. We obviously saw at the start of the day, Cal Gamer had a lot to say about Phaser and King's ability. He thought he weren't too good. And King said the same. He thinks they're not as good as they say they are. But these two teams have been going head to head. Not full engagements, but still both teams looking to try and set up where possible. We see them sort of pinching and peeking towards each other at times. And what's happening is that they're both disengaging, right? Neither team currently is in the top 25. So one of these two teams is going to have to start to step it up if either of them are going to be making our relentless retreat and making that vote useful.
Thanks so much, Levin, for that breakdown on whether or not it's going to be Cal Gamer 7-man or King and Phaser. That's going to be the team that finally breaks through from that initial drop spot engagement. But again, with teams just actively choosing to disengage, have to believe that part of that reason is because they don't want to risk being early eliminated in match 3. Acorn cold though. They've got some eliminations on the mind because they want Pink and Vico if they can find it. Cold now applying some pressure onto the backside here. Pink and Vico certain to have to keep an eye out for it. Cold though just continuing to move around some of these top tier builds. And Acorn, Cold, slight lull in the action as they try to make sure that their approach is as methodical as possible here at Frenzy Fields.
And of this duo here, the highlight player was definitely Acorn in match number 2, where he really went the distance in the end when it mattered, but I'm sure if he can do it one more time, it should be all but solidified inside that top 25. This has been a great showing so far. And again, contested, half the loot he would expect, half of what he would really want. So to take out Pink and Vico, to send them back to the lobby, to not see them on Sunday.
世界大会だから各国のトッププレイヤーが来てるわけじゃないですか。
As grand champions.
But what's interesting is that at Frenzy, keep in mind, Cal Gamer and 7-man were there as well.
各国の代表が集まってやってて、当たり前、まあスポーツだったら当たり前っちゃ当たり前の話なんですけど、オリンピックだってそうだし、なんかその神がかって強いその国々の人たちが戦ってるってすげえよなとかちょっと思っちゃうんですよね。
That will be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and you know, it's worth 15 points, so it's definitely
自分の記憶違いかもしれないですけど、この中に年齢10歳の子とかいるんですよ。
Lucky, graceful moment here, but no, there is a duo just above them. Could iDrop build a big enough base here to buy him some?
デュオだから、デュオだしチームもいるだろうから、渡航費用とかも含めていろいろとかかるだろうから、満額ではないにしろ、1位のチームなんか1億5000万なわけじゃないですか。ってことは、1人に対して7500万でしょ、ざっくり言うと。で、まあチームなり、まあいろいろとまあ諸経費かかった上で、あ、でもかかんのかな、エピックが支払う、いや、ないだろうな。まあエピックがその交通費出してくれるにしても、7500万でしょ。
ターちゃんさん、そんな子供までフラッシュセンス、すごい世界ですね。スウェットドロップレッツ。
だってさっきから俺が応援してるザゴーさんって人だって18とかぐらいじゃなかったっけ。もうちょっと上だったかな。まだ未成年だと思いますよ。まあいろいろチームから引かれるお金とか諸経費かかっちゃうだろうから、まあ、税金とかも含めてだから7500万丸、まあ、1人に7500万丸々入ってくるわけじゃないだろうけどそれでも10代の子供が持つには多すぎる金額が多分手元には入ってくるんですよ。すげえなと思っちゃう。
Okay, what's the game plan here? Acorn and Co know better, but at the same time, Acorn and Co are in such a better position. It's in their best interest to actually stay here, hold them out.
And not only
This is
that,
the team they want to take out.
exactly. Plus,
Yeah,
Pink,
but
we saw his
shut
build
up.
just now in comparison to Cold. It is a night and day difference. I mean, Cold with 90 builds to still work through. Meanwhile, Pink, I believe last checked in, he had around like 16, 18. That's practically nothing. They've
16,
invested so
19.
much time here now that they don't really have another option other than to close this fight
Yeah,
out because they need
もう普通に食べたい。
the materials, they need the refresh off of Cold and Acorn.
Acorn, Cold, but Cold gets him in the box and puts down the other as well. Pink and Vico
キルログ出てこない。
shut down and sent back to the
出てきた。
lobby. And that is the best team for them to
ウェー
eliminate.
ブ
They
ゴ
already
ーベイカー
have
を
pretty much top 25 now. Sealed in the bag.
Pink
They were in
ba-
third place
ba-
coming into this, picking up these elims here. It was so good to kind of run it back one more time. Boxes him up.
強いね。
Finishes him off. This is how
エイムよし
excellent
こちゃん
Cold
だ
is in
わ
the。pocket. Well played.
It just did not seem as though Pink and Vico are ready to tackle Cold from that position, but being towards that frenzy field side, they're going to have a great opportunity now for Acorn and Cold to make an approach towards the zone from the dead side rotation. So curious to see how that actually pans out for them later on. But as for Rise and Iamzo, solid as ever in terms of applying damage.
今これ
今これ相手にダメージ普通に有利にするための、まあ、ダメージも含めてるだろうけど、今のは完全にサージ対策ですね。さっきの雷でやられないようにダメージ与えておく。ついでにキル取れたらラッキーだなぐらいじゃないかな。弱ってる人を違う人が倒したらその人にポイント入っちゃうから何とも言えないとこだけど、サージ対策じゃないかな。
Malabuka wants nothing of that. The ME boy says, hey, listen, you're up. Sit down. We got this.
Absolutely insane, though, just how quickly Malabuka was able
マリブか。
to escape from that position because it
いや、
really
肉ダメージ
looked
3
as
しかない
if
わ。
Giovanni and Rapid were about to finish
ちょっと
off
帰ってき
this
た。
duo.
この人も有名だね。
Thomas being out of the picture,
マリブ
Malabuka,
か。
granted, we
名
know
前
that
は
he's
聞いたことあ
capable
る。
of making those solo clutch circumstances happen, but with so many power hitters left in this lobby as a
あ、まだ
team,
ペポ残ってるわ。
that solo spot not looking the best.
Vanyat Karmi. Absolutely scary, scary duo right here. Some of EU's greatest.
ハイステッドブリーチャーショットガンだっ
Hardworking
け？
duo here. Takes the Teeny. Teeny and Misha just haven't caught a break here. Rotating all the way
おお、
down
もう
from the
サー
north
ジ
side.
起きてるね。
Coming up short here now. Fragmented apart. Misha
561
is looking to replenish himself here, but the Storm Surge is active. And Vanyat just says, hey, you know what? I want nothing to do with this. It's already looking pretty tough. I'm going to just go ahead and rotate on out of here. They're going to crash pad their way across, and
滑らかに痛いよ。
all she wrote.
And to be
Nice.
fair,
Effective rotate.
it's a lot of map to cover,
建築
though,
少ねえ
for some
な
of。those north side teams. The way that things have been breaking down, but
そっか、俺なんで今鉄使ってんのかなと思ったけど、結構こもることが多いから今まだ鉄使うんだ。
utilizing those crash pads.
後半移動が多いから後半でキーいっぱい使うようにしてるの
Duo,
か。
that's something that we haven't really seen too much of at this point in the game. Curious to see how their
鉄もったいないなとか思っちゃうけど。
both up and running.
They're checking bushes. They're looking
後
around.
半は
They're
ぶっ
trying to
ちゃけ
see
移
who
動が多い
is
から、
lingering about. They already have themselves their third elimination.
耐久値が低いキーで
And
も
they're
後
sitting
半
on
は
top
そっ
of
ち
the
で
loop
立ち
as
回っ
they
てもいいの
pull
か。
on refresh for someone who was up on high ground here. So this is an excellent find for them. Meanwhile, looking at the top 5 here, Ritual and Re are leading the charge by a fair
Oh.
margin. The only team on their heels now, Cold and Acorn, as Garrus and Shari have been sent
建
back
築
to
世代もい
lobby.
っぱいあ
But
るもんね。
again, if you take a win right now, I mean, you have just about
うわ、
done
上
enough.
どんどん
It'd
作っ
be
てるわ。
hard pressed for you not to get out of the upper bracket and go straight to finals with a victory.
Yeah, we're definitely starting to see a pretty big point disparity
Yeah.
from our top 10 to even our top 20 competitors. Group A and Flixe, though, one more time.
One more
The
time.
revive, it's going to have to go through, but this time it's going to be Group A, turning the favor onto his teammate Flixe. With that med mist as well, seems Flixe is going to be just fine for the time being, but they've still got to keep pushing forward. They still got to keep trying to move in, try and stay ahead of these zones wherever possible, but 2 revives into the match already, Monster. You can tell that they're definitely having some tough times with making these rotations.
まだ
I know
53
we're
人。
jumping in with Monaco's Mustache and Falcon Tayson here, but I want to give a lot of credit to Baka and Pars, who have a great position over the lobby right now. A bird's eye view. They are one of the few teams poised up for potential high ground, and they have just continued to show us what they are made of. They are now officially slipped their way into top 5, really working their way up. But hold up, Tayson's got a lot of problems knocking on his door. Ping has gotten knocked in the mix there. So while he was focused on Tayson, other teams started to look inwards, and I'm not sure Tayson understands that there was a down body there.
Or maybe he did and might be interested in trying to pursue it.
He's thinking about it.
お、下にあれがある。スラップ中殺よ。
But it's going to be too much from Tayson. Interruption on that revive now. It's Tayson and Mustache seeing if they can finish what somebody else had started. They managed to get the
ペッポやられた。ザゴもやられた。
well if they wanted. There for the taking. Tayson will swap out for that double legendary slurp juices. But Mustache and Tayson still powering through some of these builds that have already been pre-established here, and that's just a freebie for them.
Yeah, it's all in all a net positive. You get the damage that you need. You start inching your way towards this end game, then looks like it is going to be a Slappy Shores finish here. It's going just outside the mountain there. Vino's already marked up the position they want to be in. It's that natural high ground on the backside here, the ice capsule. But again, Baka Par is looking downwards on them, putting that infinite upwards pressure here, not making it look easy at all here.
いやもうこんなにもう立ち回れないよ。
He's gonna have to take some of Vino's inventory as well. So Vino trusting in Queasy to lead the rotate here.
It's all about that middle though at this point for Queasy, especially when you know that you're having some pressure being applied to you from the high ground. The more durable your builds, the better. As far as understanding though which way he wants to target Queasy, recognizing the fact that
通常のオンライン大会だとこんなんないですからね。
And again, with it being metal, it's so difficult for teams to really take a second to try and chop them out just yet. Queasy gotta look for the connect onto some of these other builds, but dropping down ever so slightly, still maintaining the height overall though.
That's what I do best. Limited builds to just get there, connects it to
やっぱりあとまあ残り2試合残ってるのに。
Cammy and Seti are looking backwards and they're saying no, not today, not in this lobby. I want to fight for it as well. We need a big game here. We need it now. And all of a sudden now they are the most resistance on the front side of the zone here. But if they don't put pressure back, we know what's going to happen. Vino, Queasy will run with this.
Seti and Cammy aren't careful. Keep in mind where their builds were starting to go towards. I mean, with the direction that Queasy's headed at least, it almost seems as though they might headbutt each other on the high ground at the moment here. But instead it's Acorn, a bit sneaky with the crash pad. But he's continuing to hang around. He wants that front side of the zone, but hanging just on the edge of it.
And I just love how we're seeing, again, NA's best and EU's best, right? Back to back here, two different perspectives, two totally different layers. Acorn and Cold, again, just excellent low ground teams playing to what they play best, and they're doing it well here. Meanwhile, you do, of course, have your other teams fighting for height, so an excellent play to watch unfold here, but we jump into Pars, and end game from Pars here, too. No Baka. The least amount of so far, but it is a single one, so far of the 3, they put up numbers every time. Now we jump in with Muzz and Paper, turning online right now, 6 eliminations. Could this be their game? One big pop-up will put you up in that top 25, surely.
It's been a relatively quiet day for Muzz and Paper so far, so this could be a massive moment if they're able to seize it. Sitting on the low ground though, Acorn and Cold. They can tell there's players trying to make their way around the edges next to them. 2 crash pads remain here at Acorn's disposal. Cold following closely behind. Cammy and Seti though, they seem to be making an idea all their own.
Oh, this is crazy. From the backside here, they find the tags and Vino's hurt. And this might be the new high ground. Cammy, Seti coming in out of nowhere, and they swing things around.
後ろで頑張れ言ってる人たちは誰を応援してるんだろう。
Things change so quickly. Acorn and Cold finish him. And now Queasy's by himself, but it's still excellent end game for them. They're going to be happy with a top 10. Meanwhile, Paper and Muzz continue to force their way in here. 8 elims now, probably the most that are alive at the moment. Trailing behind another team, and Paper's gonna fall there.
And unfortunately, Muzz to follow suit, but Mustache still up and kicking. Seti though with a massive hit, and that's the back-to-backs now.
強い.
But the materials refresh, it might not do him any good. He's not able to break it in his own time. Acorn instead
今のあれか GG 神の相方だ。読み方がわかんないけど。
And Acorn's doing an excellent job pressuring with the breach of shotgun, making sure no one's got a chance to breathe, but Larpax is still going. That's
強い。
But NA takes the game. Acorn and Cold, the shrug.
なんだかんだ上からやられたな。イーズイ。ハイグラは強いね。
Moments away from figuring out just how the day is actually going to wind up, and we've got our very own Ricky down on the floor to see what they have to say.
I do. I'm so excited to talk to these guys because they're known for one of the most consistent placements in all of the games that they play, and you haven't disappointed us so far. What's it like, Cole, taking a victory royale of day one here in Copenhagen?
I don't know. It's an insane feeling. I mean, this guy's just, I don't know. This guy's on something else. Like, this guy's the best player, I think. I'm serious.
Yeah, doing it for Canada. We saw you in the air, nearly clutching the victory royale in the previous game, and now you've taken it one step further. For you, is it a bit of a dream to perform so well so early in the competition?
Of course, I mean, like getting ahead early is always the best, and no pressure now, you know.
これでも他の選手、その英語が伝わらない選手の時のインタビューどうなるんだろうね。
So frequently to take down the competition.
I mean, I'm just playing with the best player. It's not that hard.
俺がそこにいたら、まあ外国の何かの時にインタビュー受けたら答えられないもんな。
The game and the way you've had to play it has changed over the past year.
I mean, everything's changed. You know, we kind of did good in the beginning, then we had a little downfall, and everything's changing. But we're adapting pretty well.
You say downfall. What do you mean by downfall? Because you did place top 10 in all 3 majors in North America this year that you played. So for you, what's a bad day?
わかんないから、Japanese please みたいな。
Looking like you're probably going to have a very good day. Now I got to send back to the
very easy みたいな。挑発するような言い方しかない。思いつかないや。
This guy is actually the best IG on the game. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This guy just his brain is just no one can compete.
Well, I can hear Akon saying, stop, stop, stop over there. So I will stop on your behalf and we'll head back to the desk.
Big congratulations to Acorn and Cold finding themselves the victory royale. Now, before we continue, quick shout outs to Vivid and Levin, who will be hanging out with us on the analyst desk here for the remainder of the day. My, oh my. Sometimes I didn't expect any duo to win a game in this fashion, and that it looked so easy.
That game was a roller coaster, and for multiple reasons, really. And you know,
このさっきは女性の人のインタビューした人か。
the one thing that obviously everybody is excited about is the clash of playstyles, the best at what they do. And throughout this game, you know, we saw a couple of height changes between, you know, arguably the best height team in the world, Queasy and Venom. And then I was like, oh, look at this, Acorn and Cold. They're on the low ground. That's exactly where they thrive. And then, yeah, they ended up on the high ground to win the game.
Yeah, that's what I've been looking at, Vivid, right? You're looking at the teams and seeing if the things that they do so well in their region, can that translate here on the global stage? For Cold and Acorn, the answer is absolutely yes. They have been dominating on these layers. And I think the big thing here is that, you know, you look at these guys, they're clearly in the element, they're feeling so
4マッチ目までまだ17分あるわ。長え。
Honestly, it's almost hard to describe that.
先長いわ。
Major one when they won the FNCS in their region. I genuinely think that peak that Cold had hit as a player individually, one of the best we've ever seen from anybody, right? He was on a whole different level, and he's showing that here today, right now.
I could not agree with you more. Now, what I'm curious about are the standings. Let's take a look together. Let's see how things are unfolding. Remember, we're trying to end the day in the top 25, go straight through to Sunday. Acorn and Cold here in that #1 spot, breaking 200 points. All right. This is day one, guys. Save some for Sunday.
This is what I love to see, you know. I gave a little bit of a sneak peek as to who I was going to be rooting for earlier on in the day, and it was Acorn and Gold. It was the NA boys, and I'm very happy to see them up there. This honestly has big implications for all. Spawn, though, right? We got to remember that they're contestants. So now they can play a little bit more aggressive in that sense.
Yeah, if you're Pink and Vico, you're looking at these guys going, hold on a minute. We are letting them run away with things. We need to maybe think about putting a bit more pressure on them, making these games a bit more difficult for them. I'm personally looking at some of the players
ここから
beneath
15
them,
分で
right?
しょ。
Queasy and
そう
Venom
だ、次
just below.
4
We
試
saw
合目
how
が
they started the
終
day.
わるの
They're
3
gonna
時
be
ぐらい
looking
か
above them thinking, okay,
4時頃には終わるな。
but we're gonna do our thing up on height while they do their thing
投
down
げ
below. It's been weird for Queasy and Venom, especially, right? Because we're seeing them so consistently going into these end games in position to play out height very, very well, right? You know, it's typical stuff for them. But they're having a couple problems, right? Where a bunch of their other EU compatriots are very much making things difficult for them, right? Seti and Kami flanking them in that last game. Typically, Queasy and Venom very aware of their flanks. That's not something that they often get caught out at. But this time around, we're saying what happens. Seti and Kami are there waiting for them.
Gosh, I always have to have so much respect for Kami and Seti, right? Because I was honestly looking at their position, and it was as that 7th zone rotate was coming in. They were actually towards that castle split. They were based up on top of it, and I was like, wow, they're on the high ground. They have a very good position. And then next zone showed, and it went all the way north, and I was like, yeah, there's no way this is going to end up being a good game. And look at this. Kami, Seti, they just surprise every single time, and in such good fashion. I mean, you mentioned it. Queasy and Venom, they're usually aware of their flank. How did Kami and Seti pull this off?
And it's not just playing it off right when they're actually in the position, delivering, being able
Yeah.
to actually hit the shots. Of course, they did get chopped out on height eventually, right? It was Acorn and Cole that did that so well. But I think the big thing with Kami and Seti is obviously we saw how they started the day, and I think it's fair to say they brushed the dust off their shoulders, right? They didn't allow losing off spawn early on to sort of derail their competition. They understood, hey, look, we just got to stick to the fundamentals, get back in the game. We can beat these guys off spawn, and now they are delivering in the game.
And one more point here about Kami and Seti. We talked about the all-spawn situation with Acorn and Cold. Now it's similar for Kami and Seti, right? They're pretty chilling when it comes to the points.
Just wild. And to think this all began like their day started with basically no points on the board, right? And their counterparts, Vino and Queasy, getting the Victor Royale. And now they're sitting there attacking them on high ground. This is the story we all came here to see. At least I did.
ハイグラウンドはやっぱ海外でもハイグラって言うんだね。
Yes, bring me points. That's what we want today.
あれか、トイレ休憩とかの時間だから長く撮ってるからファンサービスやってるんだ。
I mean, we saw Hydra by himself.
やっぱ群がる
Rift Island.
ファンの子たちは若い子が多いね。
I was thinking, oh yeah, they're gonna jump. They can tell. Nope. 15 points.
And you might be thinking, Zeke, right? Like, oh, it's so easy, right? Oh, he's up there as a solo. Why don't we just go up there and contest him? I mean, it's got to be the nerves, right? There's so much information that these players are very good at hiding. Idrap somehow got that situation off where he's like, hey, I'm just going to sneak up here. And I'm pretty sure later on, actually, because as we know, Reboot Van on top of the island ended up using it to go ahead and reboot his teammate. So smart.
Absolutely insane. Levin left speechless. Now, we do have something really cool here lined up. It is actually a listening to that game-winning moment from Acorn and Cold. Let's take a listen.
We're just gonna crash that and go. Not now though, but like on the road.
Got it.
Ready? You're gonna jump on the ramp.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna slide.
Yeah, I hit it. We're good.
Just gonna run. Run left, run left. Going deeper. All too low ground. I built the box for you as well.
Nice, bro. Really good job. Getting heavy.
Are you good?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Good looking right here, look here, look at me.
120, 120, break. 20 cone, got it.
40 white, 60, I got it.
強いな。
PC for that one.
Low PC.
There.
I mean, I just have to say it every single time I get to hear
振り仮名振ってほしい。
Acorn and Cold are so composed,
読み方がわかんないが。
you never think they're sitting
左の人は
at
コ
that,
ール
you know,
ドって
the
名
biggest
前
land
でしょ
that there is to play. You know, playing
日
one of
本
the
の
most
配信者
difficult
さんと同じコールドさんってことでしょ
I think what impresses me the most
右側の人なんて読むんだろう
any esport. Doesn't matter which one. Have your pick. Professional comms sound like that. There's a lot of things we could have been calling out. Both of them, though, just sat there. They only called out what was most vital. The most critical thing in that moment. Everything else was calm. The moment they find a moment to strike, it's like, okay, let's actually communicate in this moment and get done what we need to do. That's crazy.
I love watching, honestly, the professional players that play at this level. Because, you know, we're thinking about the meta, and we have the mini crash pads. They're out now.
Crash
It's
pad.
not a lot of mobility, right?
知っ
So you
て
have
る
to
単語は
save
ちょ
a
っと
lot
だ
of
け
your
しか出てこない
materials. And the way that some of these pro players do it, we saw it right there where they were kind of talking through that rotate. They're kind of just running in the open a lot of the times, not building, but they find those timings, and that's why they're so good.
And big props once again to Acorn, right? This is a player who you see how Cold is talking about him as an IGL, saying this guy's brain is unmatched. You know, he's you know, the best player, whatnot. Earlier this year, right, when they didn't do as well during Major 2, there were doubts within their relationship, right? You know, there was, you know, conversations about them potentially splitting up, and I had the chance to speak to Acorn about it, and he said, look, hands up, that Major was my fault. I was not up to par, I was not up to standard, but I'm gonna fix that.
Okay.
And I think it's safe to say he's fixed it, right? You know, you see the way they're playing right now, and things are clearly in a much better place. They're clearly much more confident in each other, and that's always the key, right? You have to be able to trust your teammates if you're gonna have success in a competition like this.
That is why me and Vivid are good at Fortnite when we play zero builds, because I trust Vivid completely. Now let's kind of focus in on here. We like to kind of discuss Storm Surge strategies. Obviously, y'all at home, I know I could use some help, but something that was we kind of saw it.
お酒飲んで余計眠くなってきちゃっ
Was actually Reet and Ritual. They have
た。あと
very
10分ある
Storm
よ。
Surge strategy.
Yeah, placing very, very high up on the leaderboard right now. And it's not even necessarily about the Storm Surge strategy. It's about using their drop spot to their advantage. They're going to be dropping towards Creaky Compound, which is pretty
だから
central
10分できる
of
こ
the
とない
map.
か
And
な
if you think about any of the Fortnite zones, right? Usually most of them will involve the center of the map in some capacity in those early zones. And the cool thing about Creaky Compound, look at all of these hills that Ritual and Reet can take advantage of. The fact that they're landing there means that they get early priority to a lot of those positions. And every single game, they're going to make sure that they base up on those high ground positions to make sure that any of the players rotating to the center of the map, which, by the way, a lot of players like to rotate to the center of the map, and make sure they can get all the tags necessary for their Storm Surge.
And I think an interesting thing to note, and it's big props to Reet here, when you typically look at discussions around Storm Surge and the ability for people to, you know, be effective in tags, you often go, look, controller players, it's a lot harder.
まあでもトイレ休憩はするもんな。するなっていう方がおかしいからな。
Every single shot, bang, 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 bang. You don't care. You don't care. He's hitting everything, right? And so, big props to Reet. That's not an easy thing to do, especially under the pressure as well. We're at the Global Championships once and for all. So, I think for him to be doing as well as he is right now says a lot about him as a player.
Good shout.
Absolutely. You guys are killing it. You guys are great. I love y'all. All right, actually, why don't we go ahead and check out the Creator Lounge?
よし、ちょっとオーガさんが構ってほしそうだから10分だけちょっとオーガさんタイムしてきます。
Thank you so much.
また知らない人。
I am here with someone very special. It is Keep Up Radio. Thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're 3 games down, 2 to go. What has been your experience so far?
Oh my gosh, I've been having the best time. I think just coming to IRL events and seeing the players play and the crowd get so excited and crazy. It's the best experience for sure.
And what has it been like interacting with all the creators here in the Creator Lounge?
It's been so fun. Shout out to Reddish, shout out to Peach, my people. I love getting to see the people that I interact with online IRL as well. It's really fun.
Well, if we're going to talk about your people, then we got to talk about your favorite team as well. Who is it?
Okay, so I came in not really knowing who I wanted to root for, but Cold and Acorn have like stolen my heart. I'm rooting for them. Let's go.
Oh, then you must feel really good. Just them walking away in Game 3 with that victory royale.
I know, it was so exciting. I was like getting a touch up right before, and I'm like trying to look over, like, oh my gosh, they finally won! So exciting. So I'm excited to see what they do for the rest of the games.
And I'm so excited to hear about what you do with all this Fortnite music. What is the process for creating these incredible songs?
Yeah, it's so fun. I really just try to take pop culture and music and like kind of take the elements of songs that we know and love and like apply it to Fortnite, and I feel like the people really relate to it, which is so fun and so awesome.
Do you have any songs in the works right now?
Oh my gosh, none that I want to talk about yet.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, but shout out if you know Tilted Tower Dance, go Tilted, go Tilted. That has 100,000 streams on Spotify, and it's a Fortnite song, and I'm so proud of that, so really cool.
Keep Up Radio, thank you so much for joining me here. Where can people
ちょっと
find
一
you
瞬
online?
7分だけ
As Keep Up Radio everywhere. And can I
と
just
かや
say
ってき
one
ま
more thing?
す。
Of course. Oh my god, thank you again so much. And guys, back to you on the desk.
Go Tilted.
Go Tilted. Go Tilted. Go Tilted. Shout out to you, Keep Up Radio. Again, it's just so cool. We've been doing FNCS for a year now, coming together, bringing everybody into one big pool, just being like, what's up, Fortnite fam? It's great to see all of you from different walks of life, from different aspects of the game, all in a single place. How have you guys enjoyed the competition so far?
Yeah, you know, I think the competition is delivering completely for me, right? The atmosphere has been absolutely amazing. The crowd's been going absolutely wild, especially when Thomas HD is on the screen. I know the M8 audience up there, every single time they're on the screen, they've been going crazy. So shout out to everybody that's here.
Yeah, nah, the atmosphere's been unbelievable. And to think, you know, we've got more days of this, right? Coming, we got Saturday, we got Sunday. It's going to get even more loud inside of here, which I'm very much excited about. But, you know, even in the server, right, in the game, the players have been delivering, man. I think when you have a competition like this where you have the stakes set so high, you know we're expecting the big names to come out, but they're actually giving us performances, you know, that match up to the status they have. It is a special, special, special day. So I think looking at all the players, hopefully these last 2 games continue to deliver in that regard. I saw the leaderboard was looking a bit too NA for my liking, so hopefully some more of the EU teams can sneak their way up there. But of course, this is, you know, the upper bracket day. The more important day will be the grand finals to see my EU boys up there.
Yeah, no bias at all. No bias.
No, 100% bias. No,
of course.
Fully biased.
And I'm sure you guys are wondering, what's up with this longer break? Well, keep in mind we're halfway through the day, so we have to give the players a break. Get them to step back, kind of refresh the mentals to come back stronger in these next couple of games. Frankie is actually standing by right here, right now, with Miro and Cooper. Let's take a listen.
I am, and this is such an impressive duo because they came together for Major 2 and qualified for Globals back then by coming second. So, of course, I had to talk to them. Currently in 24th position on the leaderboard. And Cooper, this is your first LAN. Are you happy with how things are going so far?
I think we should be doing a lot better in terms of on the leaderboard. But for my first LAN, I can't complain. You know, I'm having a good time, and I hope we do better.
So how come you've become this fresh-faced IGL that everyone is saying such great things about, given that this is your first LAN?
Starting an IGL role is really hard for me, but I think playing with Mero also, with being a great teammate, I think I've improved drastically, and I hope I do better. Yeah, I hope I do good.
Why did you want to become an IGL?
Being a fragger, I feel like I never got a good IGL, and I wanted to kind of take terms of being the leader in a duo, and I just got lucky to play with the best fraggers, so.
Well, I should talk to that best fragger now. Mira, I apologize for leaving you out in the cold as I've spoken to your teammate for so long. But you are regarded as a veteran. This is not your first rodeo. Why did you want to compete here with Cooper?
I think he's a good teammate. He's always grinding the game. You know, that's really about it, honestly. He's just fun to play with, good teammate. And I don't know, we kind of have like a lot in common in terms of like interests and stuff. So he's like easy to talk to about things and like music and all that. So it's just easy, you know?
Have you got a warm-up song that you listen to before you go on stage?
Ski by Sexy Red.
I do not know the song, but that is because I'm not as cool as you two are. So what's the strategy now? How are you going to regroup to try and guarantee that spot in Sunday's grand final today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say too much because I don't want to get DQ'd, but I feel like I really haven't had a fair chance of playing Fortnite yet, and I think that we just need a little bit more luck on our side, and we're going to be fine.
Okay, well, hopefully the luck will be on your side. Thank you so much for talking to me, gentlemen. I'll let you go and get some food, and I am going to bring in a Londoner. In fact, our only Londoner on LAN, so therefore I'm slightly biased because I'm from London too, if you hadn't noticed by the accent. Pink, currently 29th on the leaderboard. How are you finding things in Copenhagen so far?
I'm finding it good. Despite our placement, I think we're not playing the best, but I'm finding it good, yeah.
Why do you think you're not playing the best yet?
Game 1, we played well. Game 2, there was a minor error making the whole game go to waste. But then Game 3, obviously, contested by Acorn. He was already qualified in 2 games, so he dedicated Game 3 to grief us. So I think he'll continue to do that for Game 4 and Game 5, but that's what happened so far.
Are you thinking you can grief back then? How are you going to respond to this? Because you're not the kind of guy who's going to back down in a fight.
I mean, at this point, they're qualified, so no matter what we do, they're through to the next round anyways. So it's more so a thing where we've got to let go of the grudge and just focus on ourselves for now.
So they're not in your head?
No, not at all.
And how are you finding things with Vico? Because you're a relatively new duo, you came together for Major number 3 and you pulled off what you needed to do to make it to Globals. But this was a surprising duo in some ways. So why do you think it's managed to come together so quickly?
I've been very tough with Vico, and he's like, at the start he was a bit annoying, I'd say, but more so now he's more so making me proud. So I think we're a good duo. We complement each other well, and I like playing with him.
He's a really aggressive player. How did you manage to stop him pressing W in every situation?
I had to fake drop him. I've had to scream a lot. I've had to do a lot of things. I've kind of mentored him in a way, but yeah.
Pink, I'm looking for a coach, so I don't know if we can. Once you're done with Globals, you've got the spare time on your hands. Are you taking new clients on?
No.
Well, it's a great excuse. It's a great excuse, darn it. But I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. I'll just go solo. Thank you so much for talking to me, Pink, and we will see you out on the Battle Bus. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much for those interviews for the players. Pink is always one that's very honest, Levin. He's going to tell you what's on his mind, and there's nothing wrong with that, I don't think.
Yeah, honestly, it's the best policy. You know, I wouldn't have it any other way. You want people to lie to you? Would I ever lie to you? That's not the way. I never lied. I never lied to you. Look, the one thing I'd say about Pink, right, and Vico is they're in a very tough spot. Because, like he just said, Acorn and Cold, they're basically qualified now, right? They could, you know, not play the rest of the games and they'll be good to move through to the finals. These guys aren't, right? And so if you're Acorn and Cold and these guys are contesting you, you're going to make their life as difficult as possible. You're going to make sure you can do whatever it takes to guarantee they don't have a chance to contest you come grand final time. So if I was Pink and Vico, I'd be not worried per se, because, you know, this is not a guy that's ever going to be worried, but I would start to be a bit concerned.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely bring up some very valid points, but I think if anything has been proven by some of these performances so far, one good game, right? One victory route with a couple eliminations is worth enough points, 100%, to fly up that leaderboard. So they just got to win that spawn fight one more time.
Do you think they do that, though? Is that the play, trying to kind of keep rolling the dice? Is it just let's find somewhere else, or let's just disengage? What do you guys think? So
it's interesting, right? Because Pink is a player that's very experienced when it comes to being contested, right? You look back all the way to Chapter 3, Season 2, I believe it was contested by Mustache and Malabuko, and they were playing together, and they, you know, were unbelievable, right? And I remember Pink saying to me, I've never experienced that off spawn, right? And they got demolished.
そうそう、始まるかな。
But he learned a lesson.
あー、ペポとザゴーは27位か。ギリギリまだ通過できなそうだな。48と56。
Good stuff. They are sitting there on the bubble, 29th place. Remember, top 25 will be the ones to move on to Sunday's finals. Now, if you find themselves at the bottom 25, they still have tomorrow. Obviously, not the best situation to find themselves in. You know, Vivid right now, Levin makes a great point. If they're kind of pulling out some of these strategies, they might have to. Yes, it very well could get them to Sunday, but if it doesn't, that means that they're going to go into tomorrow's lower bracket, and those 25 players will have watched this. They will have known, okay, well, this is what they're looking to do.
Yeah, I mean, very interesting situation. I don't think anybody wants to be in the situation that they are in right now. But listen, we're at the global championships, right? These teams are here for a reason.
今のうちにもう一回更新しとこう。
Yeah, 100%, right? Again, it is just a matter of doing what they were able to do in that first game, right? He said it himself, that first game, if it was good, they were in that game. They looked good. They looked like a team that was going to continue throughout the day to have pop-offs, but unfortunately it hasn't panned out that way, right? Have to get back to what that was in game one, and I think it's very possible for them.
この距離だから、この距離であのでかいカメラつけてるってことは結構あれなんだろうな。広角のカメラ使ってるんだろうけど。この人手震えさせたね、リーダーの人。
There cannot be any question. There has to be a duo that steps up and says, we are definitively better than everybody else. So I feel like at this point in time, we can be a bit more critical about some of these things, right? And we kind of have to be. You know,
奥にいるのリアンじゃないの？あそこのカトリンの多分リアンさんとキャプテンショーだとキメソコさんじゃないのかな。
So I'm going to talk about one of the favorites here, right? We took a look at a little bit of the bubble right there, and I saw 23rd place.
そんな気がする。
Thomas HD and Malabuka. That is not a very comfortable spot to be.
Not at all. Not at all. And then obviously, you know, when you are the favorite, there's pressure that comes with that. You've got this crowd here that's making all this noise for you. If you are Thomas HD and Malabuka, you have to start thinking about, okay, how do we get back into this, right? I think a lot of them, people saw them as a favorite coming into this competition because they
あ、いや、そうだ。わかりやすいな。あの暗い中でも客席映るとすぐわかるわ。この辺にいるだろうね、多分。
As much as I'd love to continue this conversation, games are ready to go. So let's kick it up to the casters to get us prepped.
We are here. This is game 4 about to get underway, and I want to give a huge shout out to Kit. Let's go ahead and go to the battle bus because the game starts now.
どうしたオーガー？
to say is a shout out to Cammy and Seti.
おが痛い痛い痛い。
But they have shown it just takes one big game to get yourself inside of that top 25. And this being game 4,
オーガさんが膝の上に乗っかってきた。
there's only a few spots left for those bubble teams to grab.
And we're looking at a team that definitely needs a good
打たれた今。
matchup for things to start picking up for them. Podesai, Snazy starting to get some shots from the sky, but here at the racetrack, we've watched this for 3 games now. 2-1 in favor of Thomas and Malabuka. Kanata trying to see what he can do.
ここは最初に戦闘始まるね。
Thomas, for the time being, he's gonna go down. Kanata and Aegis
また神。
looking like they could be in a decent
初動
position
でキ
here,
ル
but
取
it's
ってるわ。
on the wraparound of the reboot van, trying to make sure that he can keep Thomas and his own hopes alive for this game number 4. Aegis, Kanata.
フレンジのとこはもう神のチームのところが簡単にもう制圧しちゃうな。簡単ではないだろうけど。
Oh, this is going to be a big save. His chance to get his HP back. And it down onto Kanata. He has no ammo left. This could be huge if Agers could just find a way to just push up. Finish this off, but it's Malabuka who does it yet again.
One of the few times where a tactical DMR is going to look like the saving grace here for Malabuka. Thomas as well with the immediate gap up onto his boy, and for good reason, because this score, it's already being telegraphed. 3-1 now in favor of Thomas and Kanata, and keep in mind, or excuse me, Thomas and Malabuka, but for Agers and Kanata, they're literally in 35th place.
これさっきのあれか、勝った人。
That's where you start to feel the nerves and you feel like you're in the danger
え、
zone.
違うか。
We got Cal Gamer, 7-man going up against King and Phaser Kami yet again. This is where it's going to get heated up. He gets a little bit of a first strike, but doesn't really take advantage of it. And a quick reposition out of King and Phaser. This is exactly what you have to do, but the rift does go off. They're trying to reposition and try to have some claim towards that high ground, but they're not able to do too much. They have to concede relentless retreat in order to stay alive.
Right idea, though.
ハロウィン時期だからちょっとこう夕方赤っぽくなっちゃうのもしんどいだろうな。
make happen. And for 7-man, all his ammo's running relatively low with that disengage from Phaser. 7-man and Galgamer now gonna have ample time to try and loot out relentless retreat. Slappy Shores. Actually,
Slappy
we've
Shore.
seen a couple of circumstances with Tayson. Really just nice surge strategy going for the most part at this location. But for True Lakes and Chicho, they've also had a relatively quiet time so far.
Yeah, for them, they just got to start building up
that's
that
it.
confidence. Because even though they'd have the cushion that you could still fall into day 2, we were just talking about it. That's not something you even want to test. Anything can happen in that lower bracket. That's why it's paramount for these teams to qualify today, give themselves a break, a chance to readjust. And Bugha and Threats is one of those teams that's outside of that bubble. And I think that's something nobody would have expected coming into today.
One thing that we
おお、
definitely
限定スキン使ってる。
past 3 games that have played out so far, Threats and Bugha, they've never been a duo.
Bugha.
They've never gotten a chance to actually participate in that late game circumstance together. So maybe here in game number 4, seems as though Threats is on a
まあ
mission
もう常
to
連だ
write
ね。
his own story. Has some nice tags along the coast side, just south of Sanguine Suites. A lot of
上のデカ
pressure
ポ
being
欲しいね。
applied to the duo a little bit south of them.
Yep, just like I was talking about with Cammy and Seti, just one big game. This could be the start that Bugha and Threats need, trying to propel themselves, if not to the top of the leaderboard, at least inside of that top 25, and that'll give them that chance to readjust.
デカポとピニポン選ぶな。
They've been doing well so far as well, and that's something that you want to see. Even if you're qualified already, you want to keep up the pace, continue to build that confidence, because even though you might have Saturday off, you have to be prepared for Championship Sunday. $4 million on the line. That's not something to take lightly.
And again, I think it doesn't necessarily have to be flashy, but for Thomas and Malabuka,
I'm going far, I'm going far. I got spot. I'm dead, I think. 60 wide, I'm dead, they're both here. He's getting shot in the back though, he's getting shot in the back. One is running back to farm and one is plant B. They're gonna get sighted for B. Farm the brick after. Toilet, here! He's alone! Nice!
Oh. Nice!
It's definitely certainly looked pretty flashy. When you're going for that 50-50, when you're representing that there's a reason why this is your POI, at least that they're going to be choosing to drop at, or their established drop spot. Racetrack's almost feeling like a POI with how well they have managed to just...
いやー、めっちゃオーガさんがもうかまってほしい汚れ出してくる。
couple of majors ago where they were contested, and I wouldn't say it was the highest placing of a contested team ever, but it was one of the highest placings in an FNCS Grand Finals for a team while contested. So they've had that preparation throughout the year, and they're putting all that preparation here to the test. Just like Duke and Edgy, trying to pick up the pace here. They are your FNCS Grand Finals champions of the NA region as well. They already started off with one elimination, so you know they at least have some surge in their back pocket. But as the lobby and the games have shown throughout the day, you need more than just some surge. You need an ample amount of surge in order to survive this game.
For Duke and Edgy, they need a lot of points as well, because you have to...
おはようございます。俺も寝ちゃいそう。全然寝てください。逆にもう配信終了して寝るみんな。俺も結構眠くなってきちゃった。
If he's lucky, finding an opportunity here to look for a pickoff onto Yumi, because Stroky, if he's able to find this knock, or if he's able to just be patient, he might actually have a chance. So look for
なんかミラー配信始めちゃったからやめるにやめらんないっていうところも実際ある。めっちゃ眠くなってきちゃった。
たーちゃんさん、ともさんはお仕事あるから寝ないと。スマイリングセーフリズスマイリングアイス。
寝落ちするまでは見るだろうけど、いや終了しようかな、そろそろ。この試合終わってからにしようかな。最終戦はおのおので見ていただくとして、決勝まであさってあるからね。あとモンガのかまってがすごい。
necessary to come out on top, grab as many points as you can, and he's already getting challenged for that high ground, instantly gives up. Phaser and him are a little bit too separated for my liking and probably theirs as well.
Striker though, decent top-down overview.
ゲームやってないと眠くなっちゃうね。
The immediate trading of that big shield potion, making sure that his teammate is able to maintain as close to full shield as possible.
そして俺、明日の動画あるけど、明日とか今日の動画あるけど、明日の動画作ってないけど、作る余裕がない。やっぱ
That's going to be an immediate drop down into the safety of their any tower that they've managed to build up. Phaser and King though, just outside of zone, just kind of landlocked for the time being as well on this beach outside of Relentless Retreat. It does not seem as though they're going to have a very easy time working their way in.
Nah, and you kind of saw them there on the leaderboard, 22 points overall. As it stands now, that bubble, that 25th spot is 58 points. So it's not too far for any one of these teams to really climb up the pace, but the usual Misha and Teeny switching up their drop spot, not liking how their games have been going so far, so they're sticking to what even qualified them to the Global Championship themselves, and that is these sneak attacks. They're going ahead and trying to cut off somebody's boot path and take advantage while they can, and that's QMDX that they're going after, and they have a 2v1 for the time being, and they're wasting a lot of their resources just trying to build for it, because that is the extra loot that they need. Instead of farming up at a drop spot, this is the strategy that they're going to use, but unfortunately enough, their opponent does get away and finds a way to disengage, so they're going to have to figure out where else they're going to get their loot from.
I don't know if that was intuition, by the way,
maybe
from
QMD,
or if maybe some sort of audio cue might have given things away there for Misha and Teeny, but they were certainly ready to pull the trigger a little bit too soon there and didn't let QMD actually fully step into the building. And again, it did seem as though QMD kind of recognized better, thought that maybe the loot's a little bit too free in this circumstance.
Just a huge beam from Okus, trying to go ahead and get as much surge as possible. I think for someone like him, he's been doing a good job so far, trying to pick up these opportunities where he can. And that's the thing. Reet and Ritual probably didn't even really see exactly where those shots came from, who was surrounded or all around them, and see they're going towards the south side of the zone, that they have to be careful, because as long as they continue to go south, we saw the zone was pulling up. So this will be the congested side. You already see in the minimap there are so many teams going ahead and grabbing their spot all around them. That's going to make it that much harder, but Misha and Teeny keeping things on the run.
Patos
is going to come up, and that's 7-man and Cow Gamer that they're trying to contest for it. A little bit of a mistake there with the briefcase turret, trying to go ahead and use it to their advantage. Teeny with a nice shot from the side, backs up towards his teammate. 7-man Cow Gamer. This is could be their opportunity to try to advance, clean up this elimination, finish the damage you already put down. Just grabbing the real estate, grabbing all that piece control, so when the cash does pop, it is all theirs.
Oh,
MK7. As far as 7-man and Cow Gamer are concerned, keep in mind, 7-man decent loadout to take this challenge up against Teeny and Misha. Left side peak, maybe not the most favorable, but they're certainly still making the magic happen.
Magic comeback.
Continuously being edited out.
そこの金武器欲しいよね、こっちのチームからしたら。
But Teeny, Misha, they look as though they really want at least one, if not both, of these eliminations now. They know that 7-man and Cow Gamer are bound to have some excellent resources and materials. But again, if you're Cow Gamer and 7-man, we saw their loadouts. They don't necessarily need to pressure this. They got exactly what they were looking for. It can easily disengage at this point.
Yeah, and being another team that's outside of that top 25 bubble, they're just trying to play the safe game, scrape by, try to get some points, and that's Reet and Ritual are almost trying to do the opposite. They're trying to take the fight to Malibuca and Thomas. Thomas and Malibuca are one of those teams that talked about how good they're playing as a contested duo, but they're in 23rd place. Going down here, placement points. They only get 8 points for those eliminations off spawn. This is not what position you want to be in. And you can see they're not playing safe. Even though they did get some damage, they're not going ahead advancing on it. They got their spot in zone, and they're just trying to hold on to it.
Oh,
Sharptooth as well. Malibuca definitely understanding that there's a reason Thomas is known as a fragger in the EU region. And with that Sharptooth, seems as though Thomas feeling a little bit more comfortable with trying to aggress even further onto Ritual and Reet, but we'll have to tune back into them a little bit later on here, because keep in mind what Pink said in that mid-game interview, but we'll get more insight on that later on, because right now we've got some great insight coming your way via Mighty Miner.
Thank you so much, Taco. Now, we saw a huge game from Acorn and Cold right there, which basically solidifies their spot in the grand finals on Sunday. We can see them doing everything in their power to make sure that Pink and Vico don't have the same success. Now, Pink and Vico are actually in 29th place right now, so they're just dipping. They're getting out of there. Of course, getting inside the territory of Cammy and Sethi as well. They don't want anything to do with it. They want to make sure they're avoiding fights as much as possible, because they've only got 2 games to make it happen.
まあでもまあストの4つ目だもんね。
They talked about it going down, but as all that happened, Merstash is now in a 1v2 position, trying to
battle, trying to do as much as he can, trying to stay alive.
Edgy on the other side, they need these points, and it's a 2v1 situation, and Merstash is not backing down for the challenge. A nice shot, but that's going to be a miss. Merstash takes a little bit of damage, but he has more than enough heals to try and get himself into tip-top shape, and it's only really a matter of time. Duke and Edgy, if they realize that this man is a solo, that could be their opportunity to strike. At this stage in the game, with only 2 games left, you have to try to get as many points as possible. Even if you don't get in the top 25 here, you want to get yourself as close as possible.
The hesitation, though, is definitely not there as far as Verstroki and Kylie are concerned. They see a solo. They're ready to completely try and run him down, because it's going to be Inshari left to fend for himself here. A nice double elimination there, Verstroki and Kylie. So the plan, clearly a success from their starting point. A great job getting that reboot ban so they could play the game out as a duo.
285 above the Storm Surge threshold. Alex and Worthy trying to take advantage of this opportunity that is right before their very eyes. Peeking around towards the backside of the zone, where they're trying to predict some other teams are trying to find a little spot, a little crevice, anything that they can hang on to. But as you saw on the mini-map, not too many teams are there. Acorn and Cold, you said it yourself. They have already got their spot into Championship Sunday. But you know as well as I do, there's more than just money on the line. There's more than just the Axe of Champions. It's about calling yourself the best Fortnite duo in the world. And that's what Cold and Acorn came to do. Specifically Cold. He was at the Invitational along with Acorn, different duos, but he placed 3rd. He fell just shy of both Queasy and Vino and Cammy and Sethi. And he's out for redemption here as Merstash in another 1v1. He takes out Oak, is trying to keep the show alive.
So unfortunate for Oakis, but Mustache, he might have found one elimination. He's got a lot more work ahead of him, though, just from this position alone.
意外とやっぱアンチ外で行動してる人いるな。
Mustache is really gonna have
マッ
to
プの
try
白い
and
ピ
play
ンは
things
何な
safe
んだろ
from the backside of zone. Probably gonna have to wait, recognizing the fact that there's some other teams around him. But no, actually, he can't afford to play safe because the surge damage threshold has just tapped in. And with that in mind, Mustache now, it is essentially now or never. He's got to make a play. He's got to find some damage, and he
う。
is
わあ、
just
サージ食らう
barely
ね。
managing to put himself into that safety net threshold.
第5円でもうサージ食らうのか。
Daring play, very, very brave, but that's something you kind of known from Mustache, one of the more mechanically skilled players in the EU region overall. He's willing to take those chances. He's willing to bet on himself, but since he didn't land a shot and didn't cover the distance, he's just trying to disengage. You said it yourself as well. He's just trying to find his way in towards the zone instead of waiting, letting time pass by and having all those duos pass him and try to hold him out. I think that was a perfect play for him to try to find his spot inside of the zone. But a team that needs to not only find their spot in the zone, they need to find damage, and they need to start to build that groove. 77 below, continuously falling. They're taking some time to try to get some resources, but that's the decision you got to make. What's more important, Storm Surge or resources to try to survive?
Granted, there is kinetic ore available for King.
いけてない。
Utilize, but
いけてないです。
unfortunate stuff there doesn't take them quite as far as they were hoping for, and now with that sound going off, seems as though teams on the hill have definitely beautiful shot though from King. That suppressed
今のでかい、今のでかい。
main reason why they weren't as concerned, but they're still below on surge damage. Another shot
サ
like
ージ
that
的なところもそうだけど
just be ahead.
あれでちょっと移動しやすくなったね。
Couple shots go through, 65 above. They do get the knock, but chances for them to be able to take advantage might not necessarily be there. But that's not necessarily what they were looking for. They were looking to move through. They were looking to get themselves a spot in towards the zone. And this is a replay of that shot. Just amazing coming out from King. While the pressure is on as well, he is one of the teams outside of that bubble that needs to put in that work.
And let that be a reminder, I think, for some of these teams, even if you have that height positioning, if you peek just a little bit too far, get a little bit too comfortable, well,
GG
player like
coming.
King, he'll make
Down
sure to take
したね。
care of that for you.
Yeah, and a lot of these players, you know, they might lose sight of that suppressed sniper being in the game. They might forget, or they might be forced to peek to get the search for themselves. And those are the opportunities we've been seeing all day, but danger happens down to paper. From one team that has their spot for a team that's fighting for it. That leaves Edgy all by himself trying to clutch up. Acorn and Cold, first place on the leaderboard. They're faring well with this one, even though they're just forced to continue to move north in this zone. They're bypassing a lot of those teams that are on that Rift Island, which honestly looks a little bit more active than we've seen in some of these previous games.
But for Cold and Acorn, when you know for a fact that you're already guaranteed that championship Sunday, like we just talked about, they could do essentially whatever they want, even if it means just completely running down some other teams. Yeah, again, Pink and Vico talked about it. They mentioned it. Edgy and Duke, though, still looking to work together here. As all these teams continue to pile in to the Eclipse's state, the way the zone is pulling, mildly unforgiving, given some of the water surrounding the area, but definitely something that these teams can work with.
A little bounce pad junior trying to boost themselves to the front side of the zone. They don't want to be one of the last teams there. And unfortunately enough, they will be in the back of the pack, but they instantly are trying to build for some elevation. They don't want to get stuck on
日本人の選手は、選手じゃないよ。ファンは誰を応援してるんだろう。いけいけいけ、やっつけろっつってるけど。
We're going up mountains. We're going across rivers. Anything can happen here, and they get into the box. Duke's being forced back. A lot of damage is there. He's gonna get knocked. It's all up to Angie, and their run comes to an end in 34th place. That leaves their backs up against the wall in our 5th and final game.
Yeah, Acorn and Cold do not care. It does not matter who it is. As long as you appear in front of them as a target, they will look to eliminate you. And they've been extraordinarily successful all day so far today. Malabuka and Thomas, though, they've also had a pretty solid day as well, Jacob. But again, this is definitely an instance where they could look to cement themselves in that top 25. Game 4 goes well.
See them just trying to get that damage. Throw Bob goes down. but at least his teammate Axforce is still alive, trying to grab them as many points as possible. But at least they're inside or at that 10th place spot for now. Probably got it secured, but you don't want to leave it up to a prop, but you don't want to leave it up to the judges. As you see another replay. Oh my gosh, what did we just witness from King? Does he go back to back? There is no way. This man is on fire. I dare anybody on that stage to try to step in his path now, because he's looking like an avalanche trying to demolish anything in his way.
Look at the loadout, the double suppressed sniper rifle. He's even got the sniper surplus augment to boot, and he is making fantastic work of it. But Strokey and Kylie, I am so sorry, but King, actually, that's his turf.
You back a dog into a corner. This is exactly what is going to happen. They realize the pressure that they're under. They realize what's at stake. Even though they do have tomorrow, if they fall short, that's not something anybody wants to stress about. You finish the job here, you get it done, you give yourself a break, a chance to relax, and VOD review. Baja, Mixon, another one of our teams that we've seen do great things throughout the year. 156 above the damage threshold, even though that might not seem like a lot, but from what we see like from the lobby, there's a lot of teams that are around those similar numbers, but luckily for everybody, returns off for now. Even though it wasn't a far rotation with the bounce pad junior, it's just step by step. That's the way a lot of teams got to take it, just one foot in front of the other.
For Baja and Mixon, it's certainly one tarp in front of the other as they keep trying to make their way forward. Look at Cammy and Seti though, all the way at the very top of Eclipse's state, and this is some primo real estate.
Yeah, もうハイブラ取るね。
But it does seem as though they're going to have to disembark from this little throne that they've established for the time being, but not without laying some suppressive fire to everyone below them first.
Yeah, and leaderboard, kind of see the top side of what's going on. But 19th, 20, 21st place, down. 24th place, down. 26th place, even down. So if you're outside of that
めっちゃいるね。もう月の周りにたくさん。
This is your chance to pick up those points. And you kind of saw it at the start of the day with Queasy and Vino. 90 plus points for that victory royale combined with 7 eliminations. So anything is definitely possible. And that's why Booga and Threats are putting themselves to the test now. They have 4 eliminations and barely any placement points just left. There's 24th place and 24 teams still left alive. So there's still so many possible points up for grabs.
But the best part is, Threats and Booga, they're at least still together as we enter this late game, which is something we have not really had a chance to see from this duo all day to day. It's been repetitive as far as solo clutch circumstances are concerned, and they just haven't really been able to bring anything to fruition because of that. Pink and Vico, though, under a lot of pressure here from Malibuca and Thomas. So many other teams surrounding them. Sometimes it can be really difficult to tell just which direction the builds are getting towards.
They survived the off-spawn battle between Acorn and Cold. This is their chance to shine, even though they don't have much to work with. We've seen them do amazing things before.
おお、そこ登ってく。
One of the more aggressively skilled players, and forget on top of the world when it comes to Fortnite, they're going astronomical, building off of the moon towards relentless retreat.
まあでもロケットラムあるからいいのか。
They have the rocket ram for backup as well. So if anybody looks up, tries to chop them down, they do have a plan B. Pink getting a couple more eliminations. Thomas Malibuca.
おお、そんなところに宝箱。
They're trying to stay to the front side of the zone, looking back only when they have to. They have their eyes set on the prize for now.
But I wonder if anybody realizes just how far up Cammy and Seti are. Vico, he needed a refresh.
ああ、上を崩された。ロケットラム使うしかない。
Cammy, we see Seti up so right now with the rocket grab. Who he comes crashing down on is another story to be decided because Yamzo and Rise, they're under fire right now. Yamzo's going to drop all the way to the water. Realizes, tries to escape, but not able to. Mixon and Blaha instead, the only ones seemingly able to continue pressing forward in this mid-low ground layer.
4 solos running around this lobby full of duos. Queasy and Vino again. These guys are impressive, consistently finding a way to go for that high ground. Just a test here, just like in the first game, they're looking to hold on to it, get that victory royale. Another elimination found by Malibuca. Their total as a team does move up to 5. 12 teams remain. These are the points that they were looking for. They started this game in 23rd place. This game alone, if they come out on top, could qualify them to Championship Sunday, but the fight continues. Just trying to tear everybody down, even if that means it's their NA counterpart as Pars and Baka fall.
There's one thing that Cold loves to do. It's
お、
play
神まだ残ってる。
on the low ground layers. There's
ホー
now
ルドも残ってる。
Semi, they're actually going to be able to retake height because Queasy and Venom, they're no longer here. At some point, they winded up
ここ二人強いな。
potentially eliminated from this match. We're seeing everyone below, Cammy and Seti, just doing what they can to stay alive. But Thomas and Malabuka, they have been on a rampage in these lower layers.
Yep. Cammy gets another one onto Muzz, finding him as a solo. Another player is going to drop. Sphinx and Poyo, who absolutely came out of nowhere on the NA region to claim their spot here in Major 2. But they don't want just the spot. They want to take over. Thomas finds another elimination, taking down Seti. Now the high ground has changed, and they're trying to keep Acorn gets sniped out of the air with the sharpshooter. We're into our final 4 teams left alive, but 2 of them are solos. One of them is Cammy. He's trying to do what he can to bypass with that miss, falling down low to the low ground. He goes down. A 2v2 situation. Sphinx and Poyo drop them into the palm of their hands, but a nice shot's going to be traded off. But a down onto Thomas.
Oh, nice. GG.
What a massive comeback, though, from Poyo and Sphinx. I mean, 12 eliminations, given that they were in such a dire position heading into this match. That is a massive point swing here, Jacob. That might just be enough to even make them surface in our top 25.
And they might have snatched away the single game elimination record. But I'm going to let Frankie talk about that, because there she is on stage with our winners.
Yeah, I just had to come in and ask everything you were saying in that final zone, because your mouth was going off. How were the comms?
I don't know. Poyo just doesn't really talk. Kind of just, gets kills, does his thing, and I'm just, there for the ride,
やっぱみんな受け答えできるぐらいは英語みんな使えるんだね。どこの国の人たちも。
And Poyo, your ear's burning now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is a man of few words. He is a man of few words. He was so what? Sorry?
He was so loud.
He was incredibly loud. To be honest, I felt like I could hear him backstage. So for you, how has the day been so far? Now you've got your victory royale as well.
Yeah, it's been 2-1 off spawn. I think we're at the bottom of the leaderboard, but I think we'll be near 12.
よく頑張ったねって。
Hopefully, we will take a look at the leaderboard shortly. I love this. You're a man of so many words. I can hear him in the background going 2-1, 2-1. Is there anything you'd like to say to people watching right now and supporting you?
身内の人なんだろうな。多分わかんないけど。
I mean, these servers are atrocious, but we're making it work.
Well, you know what? Everyone is in the same boat.
日本人選手で割と若い子がいて、うまくいってなくて、落ち込まないように結構声出してんじゃないかな。同じ人の声しか聞こえないもん。まあ女性の声の方が通るからっていうのもあるだろうけど。
Obviously, of course, he's a little bit biased. Poyo, I know you're a man of few words.
ほぼほぼ後半で見てない人は誰だろうな。俺が気づいてないだけで、まあでもザゴーとペポしかわかんないからな。ムキムキパパも全然見当たんなかったし、あとなんだろう、日本人選手。
Well, Evan. NA on top. What do you have to say now?
Look, I just want to start by saying I love how like Poyo's just won the game at moment, and all he's thinking is like, Sphinx, stop talking.
もう眠すぎるから配信はここまでにしとこうかな。もしよかったらフォートナイトの公式配信どれだっけ？これか。もしよかったらここの配信で残り今日の最後の試合見れるんで、よかったらそこで見てください。俺はもう限界だから横になりながら見ます。ちょっと最後まで感想できなくて申し訳ないんですけど、よかったらそこ見ていただいて、また明日同じような感じになると思うんですけど、ミラー配信しながら起きてる時間帯までは見てみます。はい、そんな感じで。おねるなんで終了します。
That's the winning shot right there. You make it a 2v1, clean it up easy.
さちゃんさん、サイズさん、リュウガさん、白竹さん、コメントありがとうございます。ロボットいただいた方もありがとうございます。
お疲れ様でした。スマイリングフェイスにてスマイリング
横になりながら
おやす
最後
みなさい。
の試合を見て寝ます。
プレッセントムーン。
おやすみなさい。失礼します。